Alrighty then. Okay. So, you can see me? I can't see you. How come? How do I do this now? Webcam. How come I can't see me? There I am. Oh, bikini.
Love the earrings.
Oh, I made them. Aren't they cute?
Yeah.
I crochet everything. Everything. Okay, so I'm going to do a clean one. And I'm going to do that. Okay. People can't see you. Okay, can you see the screen?
Yes.
It says parent resources.
Yes.
Cool. Alrighty then. So what I'm gonna do is go up here and we're gonna put in slideshow mode. Hey Barrett! I guess you're gonna be the only one. Anyway, so tonight all we're going to talk about is the IEP process and parents' rights. Some people had asked me to do this, and so this is what we're going to do, because I can't. I think we need to find out what goes in an IEP before we talk about even what's in an evaluation. And this should help everybody determine what they actually want to do and if they want to go through this route or not. But this will be able to tell you everything that you guys need, okay? So my name is Tammy. I'm going to be your presenter. I've been an advocate for over 20 years. My advocacy is all about state and federal laws and due process. And I represent students with disabilities, all students in any setting. It doesn't matter if you're in state custody, none of that matters. Okay? So, and if you have any questions as we're going along, just put it out there. I'm going to fix this thing so I can move this chat box and see the chat's better. The topics that we're going to cover today. Okay, we're not going to cover anything apparently. There we go. We're going to discuss the determination of eligibility, and this is all part of the IEP process. But we're going to discuss the determination of eligibility, IEP team meeting process. That's separate. Everything that I'm going to talk about is a separate and isolated thing, but it's also part of the IEP process. The team participants, who's supposed to come to the meeting, because a lot of school districts don't include who the team participants are. Somebody else arrived? Waiting? Okay. Parent participation and your rights as a parent, okay? The IEP components. The IEP components are different from everything else that I just told you. The determination and the team meeting process and the team. There's all separate components. And we're going to talk about corresponding I'm including the corresponding state and federal regulations throughout this whole book. Okay, it's going to be a book one day. So I've broken this down in several different ways. So the definitions is what is an IEP. This is all the things under each one of those categories that we're going to talk about. Okay. So here are some of the definitions. You need to know these words or these acronyms because it's used throughout a idea. It's used by all the school districts, and I swear to God, they make up these acronyms just to confuse us even more. So this is the first thing you need to know, okay? What's an IEP? What does IEP stand for? Wendy, what's IEP stand for? Are you there?
Yeah, but I forget. Please forgive me. I haven't had a nurse and I haven't slept.
Oh, okay. All right. So an individualized education plan or program. That's what an IEP is. Key word. Well, they're all key. Individualized is for your child, not for what the school district believes is for your child, okay, or for everybody else's child. It's based on your child's unique needs, and it's based on the evaluations that are completed on your child, not on the rest of the school district, not on your kids' classmates, not on your cousins, nothing, none of that. It's all about your kid, individualized education plan, okay? And it's all based on evaluations, okay? That's how they come to figure out what your child's unique needs are and how they can make an education plan. If it's determined your child needs specially designed instruction, this is how they do it. It goes all into this plan. Okay, it's a written plan. Here's the definition. This is the law. 34 CFR 300.320A through 300.320A. An IEP is a written statement for a child with a disability that is developed and implemented in accordance with the provisions of the idea. Okay? Now there's a whole lot of words. Let's break it down. A written statement, hi Patricia, a written statement is what your child can and cannot do. Your child's current performance levels in all areas that were identified. You can only get to this part. Let me do it this way. You can only get to this part right here if you've already done the evaluations. You can't get to the IEP development until you've done the evaluations, okay? So that's what the written statement's all about. What did the evaluations tell you about your kid? Okay, what did it tell the school district? So the other part of idea is FAPE. And what's FAPE?
Free and appropriate education.
There you go.
Right?
That's exactly what it is.
I'm close, I know.
No, you're good. Free, appropriate public education. You got it. These things, after a while, they just become second nature to you, like they did for me. When I first started doing this, I didn't know what any of this nonsense meant. I didn't know what this was. But what it means is special education and related services at public expense, under supervision, which is the special ed director and her subordinates or his subordinates, at no charge. It's free. Okay? It's free. The other part of having an education program and the purpose of an IEP is to determine whether or not your child needs supports in order to access the general curriculum. Okay, now that's a mouthful. What does that mean? So, related services are things that level the playing field as it relates to an education in a public school setting for your child, okay? So, and it can include speech and language, OT, PT, recreational, counseling, psychological services, transportation to and from school. A lot of people don't know that transportation is considered a related service under IDEA. And it has to go in the IEP. All of this stuff, what we want to discuss is a lot of stuff that has to go into your child's IEP. If it's not in the IEP, guess what? They're not bound to implement anything. By the way, none of these services, did you see the word informal? There's no such thing under IDEA. It's like being a little bit pregnant. You're either pregnant or you're not, right? So there's no such thing as informal speech and language. You're either getting speech and language services or you're not. So when a school tells you, well, you're getting informed, you tell them to show you the letter of the law on your child's IEP where it allows the school district to just willy-nilly give your kid services. See, informal means they don't have to tell you the start and end date of those specific services that they identified your kid needs. They don't tell you the frequency and duration of those services. There's no goals or objectives for that particular service. You know why? Because it's not in the IEP. Because within the IEP, it would have to include all that information for those particular services. This list that I just put out here is not all inclusive, okay? There's a whole bunch of stuff that's included under that law right there, okay? So related services levels the playing field for your kid to make your kid, to help your kid get the same type of education as a typical child would receive. Okay, so now we have, okay, I gotta just cut this off right here. Okay, so now we got that piece all done. Now we need to know, so what is a disability under IDEA? What does that cover? There it is right there. Autism, developmental delay, intellectual impairment, sensory impairment, hearing or deaf, vision impairment, or blind, deaf and blind, neurological, emotional, communication impairment. That covers a whole host of things. Physical impairment, health impairment, specific learning disability. Okay? And under the law, each one of those categories has a specific definition as to what it means under the federal laws. Okay? Now, here's the other thing. School districts can't diagnose your kid. So let's say you came. For all of these definitions here that I just listed, for all of these disabilities, a doctor normally would give you a diagnosis. You take that diagnosis right to the school, okay? And then you can tell them when they say, well, we don't, no, there's no we don't, okay? In the school district can never tell you, well, we don't do that here. You do that there. And the next thing, when they say that to you, what you say to them is, did you receive a grant for special education from the feds, from the federal government, through the state? Did you receive federal money for special education? They'll say yes. Then you do that here. That's what you tell them. Then yes, you do. And I'm gonna need you to put that in writing that you don't do that here, okay? Because all of these definitions right here, let me tell you guys a little secret. I'm going to deviate a little bit every now and then, okay? I'm going to improvise. So anyway, let me tell you this. When I first decided that I was going to become an advocate, as I was becoming that advocate, I had to learn the law. So I thought when I first became an advocate that being an advocate meant you knew these laws. As time went on, I realized that I had to know more than just the laws. Because the laws protect people with those disabilities listed under the definition of a disability. So if I don't know what the disability is, or I don't know how that disability impacts or hinders learning for that child that is exhibiting these behaviors or is diagnosed with these disorders and disabilities, then I can't help that kid. Those laws don't mean anything. I mean, denial of faith, how do you prove denial of faith if you can't even prove the kid wasn't learning or the kid is learning? So these are the reasons why, as an advocate, your advocate should know your child's disability and how it impacts their daily functioning in school, out of school, emotionally, socially, behaviorally. What is it doing that's preventing? Yes?
I have a question.
Yes?
Now, I had the neuropsych done with the visual perceptual test, and the school did one themselves, and it shows that he has a visual perception problem. So he was diagnosed by the hospital, and now Bianca's saying the very same thing. Would that fall under the federal disability thing for like sight, the visual impairment?
Vision impairment?
Say that again.
See where it says vision impairment? Let me get my little pointer. See this right here? Vision impairment?
Uh-huh.
So what was your child diagnosed with?
The visual perception is at a severe range.
So visual perception doesn't cover a lot of areas. If I saw the evaluation, I could tell you all the different categories. Vision impairment is one thing. Visual perception could come under visual impairment. How is the disability impacting? What did they say?
That like when he's given a worksheet, that it can't have a lot of stuff on it, that having too much on the front of the page could affect him behaviorally as well, because too much on a paper, and it's like his brain is going into overload from seeing so much.
Okay, so that would also be under sensory. Okay, it would be sensory, it would be vision, it could be communication, it could be written, oral, visual perception. It would be written work. That's all part of it. If you go under, I'm going to see how I can do this.
I didn't want to take you off topic, but I wanted to ask you if that was part of that.
Yes, it's all of it.
Okay.
All of it. It's vision, it's communication, it's specific learning disability, it's all I, as an advocate, I hit it all. Behavioral, sensory, because from what you just told me, now you have to understand something. I'm basing my answer on what you're telling me. So based on what you said, visual impairment would be, of course, vision impairment. Okay, so we'd have to go look up what vision impairment means under the category of disability. I don't have that right now. But you can go to 34 CFR 300.8 and look up vision impairment. Okay, and it'll tell you what that definition is. All right, then as an advocate, I look at the whole picture. So I say to myself, well, if vision impairment impacts how he perceives, how he is receiving information through his eyes, okay? How he is perceiving information through his eyes is also communication impairment, because that has to do with reading and comprehension, okay? So therefore, I would look at it and I'd say, he's covered under vision impairment, he's covered under communication impairment, emotional, behavioral, and possibly specific learning disability. Because that impairment is hindering his ability to process written information, it's visual, to process even social, sensory impairment and social skills. I would go for that too. Because if it's visual, then that means how is he taking in information from like a person's expression on their face? Is he able to read, when somebody is, to read their emotions on their face? Does he know what it means for somebody to get, to cry and to laugh, and the appropriate times when to do that? See, I would look at all of that. I would look at all of that with that one diagnosis, because it does impact how he learns. Because it also includes, okay, like I was saying earlier, an advocate needs to know how that disability impacts learning or impacts functioning in and out of school. So therefore, for me, that's why I would look at all this other stuff, because it's just not isolated. It's just not visual. Visual is a whole bunch of stuff. Visual is social skills. Visual is understanding written word. Visual is how you communicate. Because how is he writing? What did you do a written test on him?
Yes.
How did that come out?
Not good.
Exactly. Okay,
He's on a kindergarten level.
Okay, see what I'm talking about? That's just one evaluation. Now let me tell you what's going to happen. Speech and language, that's another one that he would fall under. He would need, let me tell you all the services that I believe he would need. He would need OT for writing. Okay, this is all because of the visual impairment issue. Okay, visual perception issue. Does he have another diagnosis?
Say that again.
Does he have another diagnosis?
He has ADHD. He's got DiGeorge syndrome. Trying to think of what. He's got a whole bunch of diagnoses, but on the IEP it says multiply disabled.
Yeah, they gotta get more specific than that. Okay? Because let me tell you why. From what you just told me, just with the visual perception issue, he needs speech and language. Okay? That will cover the communication piece. He needs OT and PT for the writing and the dexterity, for fine and gross motor skills, okay? Like for instance, for fine motor skills, it would have to do with writing. For gross motor skills, it would have to do with walking, mobility. How does he, let me ask you, hey Patty, let me ask you a question. Is his head tilted at times? To one side?
Not all the time.
Not all the time, but he does it occasionally when he's walking?
Yeah.
Okay. So, yeah. So, he would definitely need OT and PT, okay? Visual perception has to do with, okay, if you had sucky visual perception, think of it this way. How good of a driver of a car do you think you would be?
That's true.
That's my face. There you go. You laughed. Okay, good. So visual perception is all about judgment. It's all about how you perceive the things in front of you. Okay? Are they too close? Are they too far? Walking up and down stairs. Does he trip a lot?
Yes.
Okay, good. So yeah. Does he wear glasses?
No.
Okay, go get his eyes checked.
Oh, don't worry. We for the next 2.5 to 3 months, we have appointments at Chopston in Philadelphia to go get those tests.
Good. That's you're gonna need all of it. OTPT, speech and language. You need an eye test. Okay. You need a mobility test. Usually the vision people can do vision and mobility. I actually represented a kid who had both of that going on, and we actually had it written up in our IEP, and I still have the IEP, so I can actually tell you what it said. I actually have her evaluation. So now later on, send me an email or send me an inbox, and I'll tell you the professional that did it, and so you can ask for it, okay? But I actually have. But yeah, she had visual and mobility. So you see, as an advocate, just a little bit of information that you and I talked about, I could pinpoint lots of stuff that your child is covered under. That's why they put multiple. But the thing is, it doesn't stop there. If it's multiple, your kid's IEP, no kidding, should be at least 25 pages. At least. You should have OTPT, speech and language, at least 3 times 30. At least. At least. Every single one of your evaluations, you tell those evaluators to make sure they recommend the frequency and duration of the service that they have to recommend your child gets if they determine your child needs it. Don't let them just put some fluff in there. And the ones that you already had done, if they didn't tell you your kid needed a specific service, you go back to them and you tell them, you forgot to put in the service. How much? What are you recommending? I don't even know what this means. Because your insurance company just paid for that. So what you could do is you tell them, well, I'll just call the insurance company, and according to them, you bluff. A lot of things that I do is a big bluff. I lie all the time to these people because they lie to us. So it's not really a lie, I'm just bluffing. I tell them things, well, I contacted my insurance company, and according to them, you were supposed to put in a summary and recommendations as to the amount of services that you're recommending, and you were supposed to put in a recommendation. Are you recommending services, dude? What are you doing? Because these people, a lot of them are working with school districts.
Oh,
So
I know that.
Yeah, so they write like they work for, like their agenda isn't your kid. That's why I tell a lot of my clients to go to the major hospitals in your state. Like in Massachusetts, we have Mass General Hospital. I don't even tell my clients anymore to go to Children's Hospital, Massachusetts. They just, their evaluations are nothing anywhere near Mass General Hospital or Boston Medical. Because they're just all about the kid or their patient. They don't care anything about what the school wants. All they care about is your kid. Okay? So you got to be careful who you pick as an evaluator. But when the school says we don't do that, you make them tell you what part you don't do. Because according to this, my kid needs all of this service. He needs sensory integration. He needs social skills training. He needs communication. He needs an IEP that includes communication, written, written, expressive. Written, oral, and reading comprehension. How is the other one? That's the communication piece. He needs speech and language, which is different from communication. I believe it's different. School districts use the word communication as part of when they write up the IEP. But then when you go to look at what services it is, sometimes it's not speech and language. Speech and language is a specific service. It has to do with speech, which is how to form words, how to move your mouth, and the other part is language, which is about articulation. Okay?
Which she has a lot of trouble with.
Is that wrong? Is that wrong? Speech and language is, this is the way I look at it, you guys, and I might be a little bit off, but the way I look at speech and language, one is about how the words are formed using your mouth. That's the speech part. The language part is how we use those words, okay? Whether it's written expression, oral expression, in reading, whatever it is, that's what the language piece is. Okay, so when I say speech and language, you can actually take speech and language apart because they're two different functions. So you can, your kid can just get speech, or your child could get speech and language. Okay, language has to do with, I believe, how you put a sentence together, like the syntax of a word and all of that stuff there. Okay, so your kid could get speech and language. Your child needs a behavior plan. He needs a functional behavioral assessment. I would do this because you said he gets frustrated. So what I would do is, and then the behaviors show. What I would do is I would ask for a functional behavioral assessment to be conducted by a board certified behaviorist, and before they do the evaluation, they actually have to talk to you because you're the one that's going to tell them the areas of concern, so that they can go.
Tammy, I already did that, and it's in my favor. She is in total agreement, and when she met with me, I gave her a copy of the TVPS, and she said, "Oh, this explains a lot." She says he's having visual perceptual problems as well as memory problems, and that can cause the behaviors.
See? 1 plus, look at everybody, 1 plus 1 will equal 2. When you have one evaluation, if you're having 5 evaluations set, right, 5, every single one of those evaluations should support the other one. Each one of them supports the other one. So you said your child has visual perception issues. Good. So that means if you do a speech and language event, it's going to support the visual perception evaluation. It's going to support communication evaluations or specific learning disability. It's going to support behavior, emotional. It's going to support there's going to be a piece. Every single one of those evaluations will have a piece of the other one inside that evaluation, which means your kid needs everything. OT, speech and language, emotional support. He needs communication. He needs academic, definitely academic goals and objectives in all core subjects, not just one, all core subjects. He needs specific academic goals and objectives, or whatever they do in your state. In Massachusetts, they do goals and objectives. So I would say for your kid, go for it. Go for the gusto. You tell me you want everything. You tell every single one of those evaluators, if they determine that your child needs a particular service, for them to put it in the evaluation and to put the frequency and duration of that and who's supposed to, what type of license or certification is the person supposed to be working with your kid? Because they'll give you an aide. They don't care. Or they'll give you somebody and they'll say, like a school psychologist. If you're going to see a school psychologist, you need to know what that school psychologist is going to do with your child. If the school psychologist is going to be handling the behavior issues that arise because your kid is frustrated, then that needs to be written in the IEP. It has to be written in the IEP. I hope I didn't miss much. No, honey, you didn't miss much. Okay? You didn't. This is just we're just doing the definitions and stuff, Tracy. Okay? So you go for the gusto because it'll all come out in the end. You're not going to win everything either. You should. There's no reason why you shouldn't. They're crazy. All right? Did I answer your question?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes,
good.
thank you.
No problem. Okay, so now, it's going on. Okay, now my computer's stopped. Are you kidding me? Right here. Oh, I know why it won't go. That's because this is on. Oh my God. There, how about that? I talk so much I can't make it move. Okay, there we go. Okay. Now, what I tell everybody is before you even start, or somewhere in the middle, so let's say you've never done this before, the first thing I want you to do is write a letter to the school district, tell them you want all of your kids' records, and I'm going to tell you exactly which ones in this thing that we're doing in this workshop, okay? Now, you have the right to get your kids' records, okay? Now, there's a thing called FERPA, which is that. It's a state law regarding student records. I don't like FERPA. I like the law FERPA. What I don't like is the agency that's supposed to uphold FERPA. They take a year and a day just to get back to you. I don't use them at all. But what I do use is IDEA. IDEA has student records law that mirror FERPA. So when all else fails, and they come back and they say something stupid to you about, well, you have to go through FERPA. No, you don't. And I will give you the law for student records under IDEA. Okay? It's not a problem at all. So, but what I need you to do, this is the FERPA law. Okay? Now, a lot of times what happens is, when you ask for your kids' records, which you need copies of your kids' records. A lot of times, there are some serious jewels of information in your kids' records that you don't even know are in them. Because they don't send everything home to you. They just slide it into your kids' records because they're stupid, okay? I've won more cases and more services for kids behind getting a copy of the kids' records than you can shake a stick at. They've done more damage to kids, and they don't even realize they're doing it. One time I pulled the kids' records from school. I asked for the kids' records, I got them. In one of the records, we were trying to get this kid evaluated. In one of the documents, the school, I think it was the school psychologist, she writes a letter to the parent and she said, basically what she said is, we couldn't get around to your kid this year, so what we're going to do is we're going to do the evaluation that you requested, we're going to do that next year. I was like, are you kidding me? You're crazy. I filed a complaint. I won. They're in violation. My remedy was, I wanted an independent. We asked for this. She acknowledged that she received it. She acknowledged that they were supposed to do it. So she acknowledged that she was wrong. So I said, thank you. And I filed against them and I got an independent at their cost because they're stupid. It was in the record. They sent the letter to the parent. A lot of times you guys get stuff. You guys think just because the school district sent you stuff, that because they put it in writing and it looks all official on a little letterhead and stuff, that it means something. A lot of times what it is a big fat lie. Okay, it's usually in non-compliance of the idea, and they could be in trouble. So whenever you get stuff from the school, whether it's an email or you found it in the records, you keep those documents, keep everything. A good advocate is going to want that stuff. Okay, now that'll tell you what they're doing at the school, and it'll tell you where you're at. It gives you a lot of information, and now what you have is a very detailed record of your kids' education at that school. For the last, what you do is you ask for documents for the last 3 years. School districts have to hold your records for like 7 years after your kid leaves school. For 7 years. That's after you leave school. Why?
Would that include, with the records, would that also include assessments? Or is that different?
Everything. No, it's everything. It's every document with your kid's name on it.
Oh, really?
Oh, really? Yeah, they like to lie about that too.
Skippy.
Yes, it's
As you would say.
Exactly. And it's everything with your kid's name on it. And they'll tell you, now get this, it doesn't matter where the record is. So what they try to do is, they try to say, well, you didn't ask us for that record because that record was yada, yada, yada. No. It's anything with your kid's name on it.
that anybody wrote, okay, including the log that shows whoever goes to look at your kids' records at school, or anybody they allow to look at your records, they have to sign in a log. You ask for that log, because you know why? They don't have it. They don't have a log. They're not of them. Okay,
That's
but you
what
can
I
ask
was
for a log.
asking, because I asked for everything in his records, for his records, and they said that they could not give me the assessments or evaluations because it's under New Jersey law. And I'm like, I don't think so.
Okay, first of all, here's another thing I'm going to tell you guys. Whenever these wombats tell you that it's under some law, your first response is, oh, really? What law is that? I need you to send it to me. Because I know for a fact, this is under a whole bunch of laws, including IDEA. And this is what you tell them. One, you tell them, I want that law, and I want it now. Because I'm sending it to OSAP. That's all you say. That's number one. Number two, you got exactly 2 seconds to give me my kids' records, or I'm filing against you, and you can tell this to the state. How about that? You got 2 seconds. And now you got to the end of business day to give me all my kids' records. I don't want to hear it. And I don't care where they are. I don't care how you gotta go get them. I don't care who has to go get them. I don't care where they're located, because the law is real clear. Do you want me, you tell them, to send you the law about my kids' records and how I'm supposed to have them when I ask for it? Do you want me to send you the law? Do you want me to send you that? Wait for it. Wait for it. Federal law that supersedes at all times state and local laws. You guys familiar with federal laws and how it, right now anyway, how America works? Okay, feds up here, okay, state down here, local way down here. You got 2 seconds to send me that law, because then I'm going to send it to OSA. Then all of a sudden you'll get all your kids' records. Everything. With his, you say you want everything with your kid's name on it. Everything. Now you want everything, and you don't care where it's located. They better give it to you. Otherwise, you're going to report them. That's what you tell them. That's a lie. Of course you got. I wish some stupid school would tell me that crazy mess. Now, here's another thing about the records. Okay. The law is right here. It's 34 CFR, section 9911. Okay? And if you type this in, you'll come up with it. An education that you get your kids' records. You can. This is why I'm telling you. You can get your kids' records, and this is the law right here that provides that you can get the records. The school district can charge you a fee for those records if they want to. Now, usually I just get the records. But now what they're doing lately, if they find out, you know, if I'm the advocate and I'm asking the records, they want me to pay for them. Which means you're paying for them, because I'm going to charge you to get the records, because I'm not paying for your kids' records. I mean, it's going to be part of my fee. Why should I do that when this law exists? This is what the law says. Now, most of my clients meet this criteria, most of them. Because if you guys had a whole bunch of money, why would you, first of all, why would you even go through this nonsense? If you had a whole bunch of money, you would put your kid in private school. Or you would homeschool your kid and have all of those people that your kid needs come to your house. So, most, not all, but most of the parents that I represent are low income, and they can't. If they could pay for these documents at 20 cents a page, and you got a stack this big, you wouldn't need any of this mess. Okay? So, the only time they can charge a fee, unless the imposition of a fee effectively prevents you, a parent or eligible student, from exercising their right to inspect and review the student's records, an educational agency or institution may charge a fee. Okay? But here's the thing. This is what I say. Okay? If your child receives free or reduced lunch, the parent does not have to pay for the fee for copying, because you, I gotta go back one. Wait a minute. If you could pay for the documents, then your child wouldn't receive free lunch. So if your child's getting free lunch or reduced lunch, you know way in there's a scale, okay? In order to get free lunch, there's a scale. So if you meet that scale, you definitely can't pay for a fee to get your student records, because and not being able to pay for them is going to prevent you from exercising your right to get those records. See, you guys following me? Hey, Grace, you guys following me by any chance? So let me know. Can somebody? Okay, thank you.
Don't worry, I got you back.
What?
I got you back.
Okay. So if the child gets free lunch, and common sense would dictate there's no way you could pay for your service to get those records. And if you have to pay anyway, if they force you to pay and you can't pay for it, the reason why they're telling you we don't care nothing about that, you have to pay for this, is because they want to stop you from getting the kids' records. So if your child gets free lunch, every year when you get that paper, save that record and stick it in a file with the rest of your kids' records. And I got a book that I want you all to buy that I wrote, and it's all about the parents' manual. It's called. It's a DT book. I wrote it a long time ago. Now I got to go find it. But it tells you how to make how to get your records in order. Okay, it's a parents' manual. It's real short, real sweet, and it tells you everything you need to know. And it's handy dandy. You just stick it in your pocket. I had a copy. I don't even know what I did with my copy. But anyway, if you have this book with you, you'll know exactly. I can show you exactly what to do to get your records in order. Because what happens is, if you don't have your students' records, number one, you're relying on what the district says, the words coming out of their mouth, and you can never, ever, ever take whatever's coming out of their mouth at face value. 99% of the time, not all the time, but 99% of the time, they're lying. They just lie when telling the truth would be better. So don't believe nothing they say. So if your child gets free or reduced lunch, and the school district, and you ask for the records, and the school district says, well, we got to charge you, we got to charge a fee, and you say, no, you can't charge me a fee because my kid gets free or reduced lunch. They have the record at the school. So if they say that to you, you don't have the record, the first thing you say is, can I have a copy of my child gets free and reduced lunch, or you tell them which one it is, and you say, I'm gonna need a copy of that document. Could you send that to me? As soon as they send it to you, you send it back to them, and then you put a second request, and you attach that record to the email, and you say, second request for student records. Please see attached document. My child receives free lunch. If I could pay for I can't pay for it. Therefore, my child gets free lunch proves that I'm below income. And if you don't give it to me for no cost, you're preventing me from exercising my rights. That's all you have to say. Okay? Then you get your records. And you tell them, now I got a list of records. I got a list of all the records that's coming up in a minute. Okay? First, let's do this. Oh, here it is right here. Oh, I forgot which slide it was. So anyway, so you must obtain a record of you must obtain your kids' records. You have to do it. And what you have to do, like I said earlier, is go back at least 3 years. The reason why you need to go back 3 years is because every 3 years from the date your child was initially evaluated and determined eligible, every 3 years they have to do a 3-year re-eval. So every 3 years you get new evaluations. Okay, you get new IEPs every year. So you should have 3 new IEPs. You should have 3, let's see, depending, I don't know how many. Each year you get progress reports, depending on your state. Like in some schools, you get 4 progress reports. Some schools you only get 3 a year. So for each IEP, you get 3 progress reports, or you get 4 progress reports. But these are all the records that you ask for. You ask for report cards, discipline records, attendance records, teachers' assessments. The teachers' assessments is all part of the evaluation. It's part of the evaluation procedures. Evaluation, see right here? See what I'm talking about, Wendy? Progress reports, IEP, 504 plans. They, like I said, they do have a right to charge you for these records, but, oh my God, why is this? I don't like this.
Every time I turn that on, this screws me up. Okay, wait a minute, guys. I'm still learning this mess, so you guys have to bear with me, okay? Let's see what it says. Erase. Okay, take it off. Oh, now I know what I'm doing. Duh. Takes me a minute, guys. Jeez. Okay. So again, I'm driving this home for a reason. If your child gets free, reduced lunch, no fee required, because free or reduced lunch is income-based. Your income would prevent you from getting the records at cost. Okay? Remember that. Free lunch, reduced lunch, no fee required for copies of your kids' records. I don't care what records they are. And you get all of the records. You get everything with your kid's name on it. Make sure you understand your parental rights. Now we're getting into the nitty-gritty. So now you know that part. Okay? You know definitions. You know what the disability is. You know what FAPE is. You know what an IEP is. Okay? You know how you can get your records for free if you meet the criteria. Okay? You know that they can charge if you don't meet the criteria. So now let's go into the initiation process. How to initiate special education. Let's go into that. So how to start the process. Okay. First thing you want to do. First thing you all want to do is this. You want to make a written formal request. Okay? I'm just doing this. You want to make a written formal request for evaluations. Okay? Because remember, you're just starting the evaluation. You don't know nothing about IEPs. What you're doing is, you've just done child fine on your own kid. Okay? You've just put in a written consent for evaluation. Therefore, you made a referral for your kid for special education. And it starts with a determination of eligibility. And you can only get that through an evaluation. Okay? When you make your written request for an evaluation, the reason why it's in written is for a specific reason. But you have to remember too, when you make this request, I'm going to tell you exactly what you put in it. Okay, but right now just understand this part. You're going to date it, you're going to sign it, and you're going to make a copy of the request for your records. Okay? Here's what you can do. You can send an email. If you send an email, create a file in your computer so that you can save that document, or I can teach you guys how to create a separate document for the email if you don't know how to do it. On the document, on the email document, and it creates a separate record that you can save to your hard drive, an email. Okay, you're going to need to do this every time. So you can do email, because the email is cool because it has a date, it has a time, it has the people you sent it to, and you have their email address. So you know they got it. Everybody knows they got it. In a hearing, you would give them that document and say, is that your email address on that email? And they have to say yes. That means they got it. They can say they didn't get it all day long. You got it. There it is right there. It was sent to you. And they just admitted that's their email address. That's why email's wonderful. It's my favorite thing. Okay? I use emailing all the time. There are times, though, where I will tell a client to hand deliver the document, the request. What you do is you make 2 copies. You make one for you and one for the school. You walk into the school with this letter. You give it to the school district, and you tell them to date stamp it. Okay? Then you take your copy. Okay? You give them theirs, and you date stamp yours. Or you can go in with one, and you give it to them, and you say, could you date stamp that, and then give me a copy with the date stamp on it. Okay? Because you need to keep a record you need a copy for your records. Or you can send it certified return receipt. Keep a copy for your records, and when the green card comes back into you saying that they got it and somebody signed for it, you attach that green card to that written copy. I'm telling you this for a reason. Do you know how often records go missing? I mean, it's a thing with school.
oh, she made a request for evaluations, let's drag this out and say we never got it. So I anticipate a problem all the time. And when I anticipate the problem, I know now how to fix it, because it's happened to me so many times, and it's frustrating because the longer it drags out, they got 60 days to do the evaluations, to have them in your hand, and to have all the evaluations done, to have it in your hand, and to have the team meeting. That's what the 60 days includes. So guess what they like to do? Requests go missing all the time. So if you do it this way, they can say it, and it's happened to me. I told this story before. One of my clients, hey Meredith, one of my clients, I sent her to the school, and it was for a request for an evaluation. We do it like this all the time with this school and this parent. Sent her, I said, now bring that to them, print it out, and we'll bring it to them, get a date stamp. And then send me, I told her, send me a copy of the one they stamped. Send me a copy via email. She said, okay, cool. So I got it. So I put it away. So I'm waiting. So I called them up and I said, we didn't get your response to our request. So this chick, they know me over there, so they got mad. Grace, did I say hi? How you doing, Grace? No apologies. Everybody's good. So anyway, Grace, hi, and Meredith, no apologies necessary. So anyway, so I called the school and I asked them, and so this woman gets on the phone. She knows me. And see, I'm a hard ass. I don't have time. I show no mercy. I take no prisoners. I don't care. I do things a certain way because of what I'm about to tell you. This chick gets on the phone and she tells me she's sick of me. I do this all the time. Yada, yada, yada. She went around. So I said, you done? She said, yes. What's your fax number? She gives me a fax number. Okay, good. Go check your fax machine. She goes, she gets her fax machine. I said, you see that? I just sent that. What's that date stamp on there? Is that yours or some other school district? What's the date on there? So you see, when I was talking to you, I had this in my hand. See, I know you people. You always lose stuff. So, she calls me back. She hangs up, she calls me back. Oh, we found it. It was buried under the secretary's papers. She went on vacation. I said, I don't care. I don't care nothing about her going on vacation. I don't care it was buried under papers. I'm sick of you talking to me like you don't have any sense. The next time, do yourself a favor. Check your stuff before you get on the phone and start flipping off your mouth. I know you people. Why do you think that's state stamped? Because of this. Don't do it again. When am I getting a response? Now, she thought she didn't like me before. She really didn't like me after that. I don't care. Do that. I want all of you to make sure from now on, whenever you send anything, you either send an email, you make sure you save that copy of that email, because Yahoo crashes.
How long do they have, Tammy? How long do they have once you make a request?
I'm trying to think if there's so many times. Baby. I keep forgetting about this book. I tell you guys to go get it, and then I forget. This one. Let's see if they have it in here. Okay, so one thing I'm thinking, I want to say 20 days, but I'm not 100%.
I think you're right. I think
it's 20 days, but that might be for an independent evaluation. But if it doesn't have a date, I will check that out later. What I do reasonable. Reasonable to me is 5 days.
Okay.
2 days. 5 school days, and what I do is I send something on a Monday. If I send it on a Monday, I tell them too. That's another thing. When you make your request, put a deadline on them. They don't like it, you do it anyway. Because then they're going to have to come back and say, well, we don't, and then they'll tell you the law. Because if they say, well, we don't have to, whenever they say they don't have to do something, always tell them, I'm going to need you to send me a copy of that law. What are you referring to? Because I got the laws over here that say this. And every time they come back and they say, well, we don't have to do this, and here's what we're relying on, and this is what you're doing is you're creating the paper trail. Okay, so they're admitting this is what they're relying on. And if what they're relying on is inconsistent with the idea of regulations, for instance, if it's more restrictive, which means it doesn't exist. More restrictive would be that they got until, okay, I know what it is. I know the answer. They gotta, whatever the timeline is, whatever the time, I'm looking at my book again, whatever the timeline is, everything has to be done. You're not asking for permission, and you're waiting for them to return a decision. They have to do it, period. They got 60, deadline is 60 days. So in 60 days time, if you don't have their evaluations in your hand, you don't have a team meeting scheduled to discuss the results of that, and to make a determination as to whether or not your child is a child that meets the criteria for specially designed instruction, they're in violation. And then you file against them. So it's definitely 60 days. They can't drag it out, because the longer they drag it out, the more days they're wasting. They can't come back later and say, well, you know, we couldn't get to it. Really? Make them put that in writing. Okay? They definitely, the bottom line is everything has to be done from the day you ask for it. The clock starts ticking. There's no response. The next response is consent. They have to send you a consent form to tell you, these are the evaluations. So now I'm going to show you. Okay, so now you make your written request, right? This is how we're starting this process. Do not understand why this is not working. Stupid thing. Like I said, the paper trail begins. Here's the letter. It's my favorite. Okay, it's my favorite. So, oh no, I'm wrong. I got these slides mixed up. Okay, these are the records that you're going to ask for. Didn't I tell you this was in here? Here's the letter that I use that you guys can copy and paste and use this. I'm going to post this so you guys can download this PowerPoint presentation. I'll send you a link if you need it, and you could just keep it right there and just copy it. You know what I mean? To your records, okay? So you can have this all the time. But look at all the evaluations, any and all evaluations. So what you want to put in there is within the last 3 years. Any and all IEPs, corresponding IEP, quarterly progress reports within the last 3 years. And for the last 3 years, put the years. So at the beginning, you can put like 2016, 2016, 15, 16, 16, 17, 17, 18 school years. Okay, so you can put all of that in there. Or you could just put for the last 3 school years. I want all of that. And that's the stuff that you asked for. So Wendy, do you see evaluations and assessments on there?
Yes.
There you go. Now look at
Skippy.
What?
Yippee Skippy.
So, and do you see like
have a lot of explaining to do.
Yes, exactly. So, I mean, there's lots of things like when you go to team meetings, they're supposed to take team meeting notes. That's a part of your kids' records. Anything that we do at any team meeting, anything that you do with your kid, any correspondence that you get from the school district, that's all a part of your kids' records. Student records, I gotta put that definition in. Student records is anything with your kid's name on it. It's a discipline record. It's an attendance sheet. It's report cards. It's all of that stuff right there, and then some. Okay, so you can ask them. Okay, so let's say they put your kid on the DRA 2, and we'll get into that one day. I'm going to teach you guys all about the DRA 2 and the DIBELS. And what I want you guys to do is go online, and if your kid's on the DRA 2 or the DIBELS, if your child is a typical kid, then that's a wonderful program. Right? But if your child has a learning disability, or your child has any disability, the DRA 2 and DIBELS is not really going to help them. Not in all areas of function. It's not. And there's books written about these 2 programs. I actually have the DRA 2. A copy of one, not the newest one, the one just before that. Okay,
And I bought it online, but it's pretty much the same as the new one, okay? So this is what you can ask for. This is a sample letter, and you guys are free to use this. You can use this in any state you want. Make sure you either hand deliver. This is what I'm talking about. So you go to the school and you can hand deliver this, or send a certified return receipt, or write it up and send it as an attachment in an email. That's what you do, because that way you have a copy. You have to have a copy of this stuff. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to accuse them of anything. Now, when you get the records, you need to review them. Okay? And what you need to do is you need to sit down, depending on how big they are, because they could be big. You need to sit down and you need to make notes. You need a legal pad, you need a pen, and you need a highlighter. I love highlighters. Okay? And what you'll see is, I'll show you later how to read evaluations, where you want to go straight in for the jugular, where you want to see where your kid is not doing well. And the more I do this, and now that I'm in school and this is what I'm doing, I'm finding out what this stuff means. Now, the more I find out about what it means and how it impacts your kid, the more I'm going to tell you. So what I learn, I'm going to tell you guys. If there's something that I'm learning, I'm going to help you guys out, and I'm going to tell you how to help yourselves, okay? But this is why you have to sit down. You actually have to review the records. There's things that you want to look at. You want to look at all of the scores, definitely. And if you don't understand what those scores are, you call those people up and you tell them, I need to have a meeting with you so you can explain this. I need to see what my kid actually did. So what you want to do is have a meeting, and you want to look at the protocols. Okay, it's called protocols. The protocols is the actual test that your kid took. Okay? So once you sit down and you do that, now what you're going to do is you're going to ask for the testing, okay? And you're going to provide written consent. So first you're going to request the testing, okay? So like I said earlier, you request the testing, and these are the most common areas of assessment, okay? You got to start here first, okay? So you need like the WISC-4, okay? The WISC-5. There's lots of intelligence testing, okay? You need that done. You need a communication assessment done, which usually, like I said earlier, speech and language. It's communication. It covers a lot of area in communication. You need a psychological that addresses social and emotional, okay? Social, emotional, you know what I didn't put in there? Well, IQ will cover academic, but it will be social. The psychological will also include social, emotional, and academic. Okay, and that's where you get the IQ testing, would be the psychological. All right, and you want fine motor and gross motor skills assessments, and you want behavior, which is a functional behavioral assessment. All right. Okay, you guys, no problem. You guys have to remind me about what I'm telling you I'm going to give you, because I'm old. I'll forget quick. As soon as I get done, I'll be snoring because I'm tired girl. All right. So these are the most common areas you want to tell them you want your child assessed in. Okay. Now there might be other areas that you want your kid assessed in. Oh. Okay. So this is what a sample letter would look like. Okay, this is a sample letter requesting testing for a child with on the autistic spectrum. This is common for me. Okay, when I do for certain kids, depending on their disability, because I've been doing it for so long, there's certain testing that I need to have done for that particular kid, and it also has to do with because I'm an advocate and I've been doing it for 20 years. I kind of recognize after I read the kid's file, I always read the kid's file before I ask for any assessments done. I always read the kid's file before I ask for the kid to be tested, because I need to know what areas. And all of that information would be in the kid's records. So, like I said, I always ask for a functional behavioral assessment. For kids on the spectrum, depending on how old that child is and where they are on that spectrum, I usually will ask for the ABLES-R, which is it's a language assessment. And it's way, I have that too. It's way more than, I'm thinking about taking the course on how to actually administer it. And because anybody can buy the book for the ABLES-R. If your child has issues with communication, if your child is on the spectrum, and your child doesn't know things like how to share or how to have reciprocal language, If your child is really young, a lot of children who are on the spectrum, if you give them something, they don't know how to take it. They don't know that they're supposed to take it from you. The ABLES teaches language. It actually teaches kids how to learn, and it has to do with language. The ABLES R is really cool, so I always ask for that. ACC, Augmentative Communication Evaluation, I always ask for that. That's like assistive technology evals. Vineland. The Vineland is very important. It's all about where the kids are socially, emotionally, behaviorally, how they, their daily functioning levels, if they can do certain things. The Vineland assessment, behavior assessment, is really, really cool. It's one of my favorites. And then, of course, there's an assistive technology. Augmentative communication. Assistive technology and augmentative communication are real close, okay? So, make sure you sign, date, and copy the document for your records. You have to do that. Because once you get this, okay, when you get their consent form in the mail, because they're going to send you one, so you can sign and date yours, but they're going to send you one of their own on their form. What you do is, because there's no law that says you can't do it this way. So what you do is, when you get their consent form, you backdate it. So whatever date you put on this form, making the request for the assessment, giving consent, I am writing to request and provide informed consent for the following evaluations regarding my son or daughter, and you put the kid's name. Please consider this request and consent to be an informed decision to evaluate. I expect that the school district will meet the state and federal mandated timeline, and you put in the state laws. Oh, the hearing just came out. As of the date of this request and consent, the school district has 60 days, 60 calendar days. Now, in Massachusetts, they have, I think it's 60 school working days to complete it. The federal law says that days means calendar days, but states have done that. Like in Massachusetts, 60 school working days is actually longer, okay, than 60 days. It doesn't matter, it has to be 60 days, okay? In the event the district forwards another consent to evaluate, the document will be backdated to reflect the date of this letter. So you're letting them know what you're doing. And you're telling them what you know about your rights. When you write a letter like this to the school, you're letting them know, I know what I'm doing. Even if you don't know what you're doing, just remember this, the idea was based on a rational, reasonable person of average intelligence. It's not Latin. It's not law. It's not like, well, I should say it's not law. It's not legalese. You don't have to be an attorney to understand the idea requirements. You just don't. I'm not an attorney. I've been doing it for 20 years. When I started doing this, I was just like you guys. I didn't know. But the thing that happened to me is I actually loved it. I love the investigative part. I love the arguing part. I love proving them wrong part. I really, really loved getting the services for a little kid who had a disability. That was my biggest joy. So that's why it took me years to get where I'm at right now, and I'm still learning every single day. I am by no means, fully fluent in idea regulations and in every type of scenario. Sometimes I'm winging it just like you guys. Most of it, if not all of it, is based on common sense. You have a child with a disability, you have these regulations. If they implement them, there won't be a problem. When they don't, there's always a problem. It's always an issue, okay? Any questions so far? You guys good? Tracy, Meredith, anybody? Let me know. Okay. Consent to evaluate. This is very important because school districts will put some whack stuff in a consent form and call it informed consent. It's not conformed consent. So this is what you have to do. Once you made the request, either verbally or in written form, I prefer, I'm telling you, no verbal. If you told them at a team meeting you want evaluations, when you go home, first of all, as soon as you tell them you want an evaluation done, they should come there correct. And they should have a request form for consent to evaluate right then and there. It should only take them 2 seconds to go get one. It's that hard. It's right there. There's consent forms. But if you do it verbally, make sure you back it up in written form. The school district must respond within 5 days of this is, I think, what you were talking about. I think, is this the question, Wendy? Is this it?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. When I saw this, I was like, oh yeah, this is it.
There it is. Tracy, I sent a request by mail for the IEP meeting notes and transcript last Friday. I haven't heard a peep. Is there a timeline to receive them? No. But what I do is I make up my own. If there's no timeline, when I make a request, here's rule of thumb. Reasonably, you should receive it by Friday, by this Friday, okay? If you ask for it last Friday, I sent a request haven't heard a peep. What you tell them is they got 2 seconds. This is your second, you send another email, you write second request. And then you send it to the SPED director in your town, okay? And if you can find the state special ed director, put that email in there too. This is my second request for these documents. As of this date, I have not received it. Do that on Monday. Tell them you want the status. Second request, status. Where is it? Because it could be in the mail. You don't know. Okay? Shouldn't take them that long to do that. But I got a 5-day rule. It says must respond within 5 days of your request. Okay, there's a law right there. 300.300A. Cite 300.300A. Tell them, this is consent to evaluate. But if you're requesting them, then what you have to do is you give them a couple of days. But from now on, what you got to do is just one meeting. Okay, wait a minute. Okay, just one meeting. I don't know if I'm getting this right, but it doesn't matter if it was just one. Okay, if it was just one meeting, it should be only what, 2 pages? So what I would do is ask for the status, put status, second request, documents, and then send them the same email. Just change it and write second request. But this time, add the special ed director's name to it. Who did you send it to, Tracy? Did you send it to the SPED director or to the team chairperson? Who did you send it to? The CST? What state are you in? Oh, good. New Jersey. Okay, good. So what you're going to do is, you send it, did you send it, the CST, is that the chairperson?
Study team.
Okay. Case manager. See, it's different in every state. Case manager, good. Or the state case manager. What you want to do is send it to the case manager, the SPED director in your town, and the SPED director at the state level. Okay? That's what you do. And you say, second request, status, request regarding yada, yada, yada. Send the same exact email. Okay? All you have to do to send the exact same email is open up that email and hit forward. And then it'll come up with a drop down, and you can just you can write in there again and say second request status. And say, I'm going to need to have a timeline as to when is the estimated time of arrival. What is the ETA on my documents? I'm requesting the ETA on the documents request below. John Worthington is state director in New Jersey. Good. Oh, Meredith, you too? Geez, there's you guys are a lot of people in New Jersey. That's cool.
We're going to be a Jersey girl yet.
Huh? What'd you say?
We're going to be a Jersey girl yet.
Oh yes, oh yeah. New Jersey's going down. Yeah, the SPED director, send it to that state SPED director and say, I made a request, and either I need to know if you're refusing. That's another thing you can put in there. Ask for the status and say, I am requesting for the second time the ETA on my request below, and then it's the same email, and then you say, unless you're refusing to give me those documents. And if so, please provide an explanation as to your refusal. That's all you have to do, okay? And again, and you can, yeah.
I have to, the way this is set up right now, I can't open another screen. I don't know what until I'm done with this PowerPoint. So what I can do is if you drop me a line, I can look that up for you and find out if there's a timeline on it. I usually just attach 5 days. If I can't find a timeline and I'm not too sure, if I make a request, I expect an answer in 5 days. That's reasonable. And that's all you have to remember. Everything in law is a reasonable request. If you make a reasonable request, there's no reason why they can't do it. If they're not doing it, I don't want to hear they're busy. No reasons, explanations, or excuses. Because guess what you're not doing? You're not taking any prisoners, and you're not going to show any mercy. You were reasonable. You asked for this documentation, and you expect it. You don't want to hear nothing about it. Do you know one time I did this with a school? I asked for the students' records, right? So the stupid school, it was in the summertime. So the stupid school actually came back and said, we can't give you the records this summer because we don't have anybody to give them to you that could, make the copies and all of that. I said, what? The school's open and I can't get the records? I filed a complaint. You know what they had to do? And then they told me they didn't even know where the records were. They didn't know where all of them were. I filed a complaint, I won. And they had to hire somebody. Yeah. So make sure that they had somebody there just in case some parent wanted the records. And I got my records. That was their remedy. And they got trained because whenever I file a complaint for stupid people, I always make sure that I want the state to go in and train those morons. Because you're not telling me I can't have the records because you don't want to pay somebody to give me the records. And you're open. I don't care if it's in the summertime. That sounds like a personal problem. You're making your problem then my responsibility. And this is what I do. I take complete responsibility for my actions. You want me to take responsibility for your actions? I got you. What I'll do is I'll file a complaint and I'll force you. Then when I got it, I splashed it everywhere. That's what they get. They're stupid. So I give 5 days. If they come back, remember, schools will tell you, well, that's not our policy. I'm going to need a copy of that policy because it's inconsistent with the IDEA regs. And they'll say, well, it's state law. Well, it's inconsistent with state law. I'm going to need a copy because I'm going to send it to OSEC. And I'm going to send it to the state. And I'm going to find out exactly what your interpretation is and if it's consistent with the law. How about that? That's all you have to say. You guys got to bluff. Bluff a lot. Okay? All you have to know is this. The law is based on a reasonable, rational person of average intelligence. It would be reasonable to think that you should be able to get your kids' records from a public agency anytime you want. Their job is to serve you. So if they can't give you your records, that means they're not doing their job. You can ask for your records anytime you want. And when they say they don't do something, you say, good, put it in writing. What you say? And they're dumb. They put stuff in writing like you would not believe. I mean, they're just dumb. Okay. So consent to evaluate this. Once you've made the request verbally, the school district must respond within 5 days of your request pursuant to 300.300A. Always keep a copy. The school district may forward you another form, their form, written on it. Oh, it has to be an our form. Good. I'm backdating it. Then what you do is you backdate it to the original date if you use my form. You backdate it to the original date. Remember, they got 60 days because what they're doing is they're stalling for time. Okay, they got 60 days. Now, in Massachusetts, if you ask for an assessment, 45, and there's only 45 days left of school, let me tell you the whack thing they do out there. So, they got 60 days, remember. So there's only 45 days left of school. What they do is they stop the clock the day school ends on the 45th day. Then they pick it up back when school starts in September. Because God forbid, they should do the assessment during the school year because they say we can't force our teachers due to a contract, but that's teachers. The teacher is not doing the assessment. Providers are. Related service providers are. They're not teachers. Most of them in most schools nowadays are all contracted out. Keep that in mind. So if they tell you they can't do it, what you tell them is, they can't do it during the summer, what you tell them is, so are you telling me all of the related service providers are employees of the school district? Massachusetts, a lot of them are. And a lot of school districts across the United States, not so much. New York hires a lot of
related service providers, and they're all contracted out. Massachusetts does it too. It depends on the service, and it depends on the, I don't know what this is doing. It depends on the school district. Okay, so now, let's say hypothetically, this is the first time you've ever done this. Okay, first time you've ever done it, you don't know what the hell you're doing. The only thing you know is you got to tell the school you need your kid evaluated. That's all you know, okay? So, the very first time your kid gets the evaluations done is called an initial evaluation, okay? Request for initial evaluation, consistent with consent requirements under 300.300, either parent of a child or a public agency may initiate a request for an initial evaluation to determine if the child is a child with a disability, okay? So to initiate the request, either a parent of a child or a public agency that means a school district. It could also mean like the Department of Social Services. It could mean another public agency or the Department of Youth Services, you know, where they have jail for kids. You know, in Massachusetts, it's called Department of Youth Services, DYS. They have them all over the United States. But a public agency that has custody, that could have custody of a child because they were taken away from their parents or they were abandoned or whatever, can initiate the initiation for an evaluation for special education. Okay, anybody can request it. Okay, so now here's the most important thing, and there's a lot of things. 34 CFR 300.304. Remember, this is where this is the evaluations, and this is the meat of your child's IEP. This is the evaluations is where your child is determined to get any of the services or no services. Because first we have to determine if your child is a child who needs specially designed instruction. Your child is a child with a disability, okay? Out of everything that's under 34 CFR 300.304, which is the evaluation procedures, whether it's initial, whether it's a re-eval, they must comply with these evaluations. These 34 CFR 300.304. This is the most important one. The child is assessed in all areas related to the suspected disability, including, if appropriate, health, vision, hearing, social, emotional, general intelligence, academic, communicative, and motor abilities. That's everything. In all areas of suspected disability. Okay? That means if the school district knows that your child is autistic, you gave them the diagnosis, and the doctors, you don't say where your kid is on that spectrum. So let's say your child is highly functioning on the autistic spectrum scale, okay? But your child has social skills issues. The school district has to do an evaluation regarding social skills. They have to do a functional behavioral assessment. They have to identify these issues. They also have to do a behavior assessments, okay? They have to do like the Vineland. There's certain assessments that have to be done in order to meet the criteria, all areas of suspected disability, because if they don't, and you have an advocate like me, I'll be able to prove with their evaluations all the areas that they didn't evaluate your kid in. What they do is they take an evaluation, okay? Now, 9 times out of 10, an evaluation has, okay, who's talking to me? Wait a minute. They denied FBA as they don't see any issues in school. Which is, I don't even know what that means. Any issues in school. Okay, good. Wait a minute, Tracy. I forgot where I was, so I'm just going to answer Tracy. I'll come back to it. They denied FBA. Did they put it in writing? They have to put it in writing, and they have to tell you why they're denying it. Okay, social issues or behavioral. Okay, social issues or behavioral. So if your child is having social issues in school, or there's a deficit with social skills, 9 times out of 10, that could interfere with, that could cause inappropriate behaviors. It could cause maladaptive behaviors. So if they don't assess, then I could prove where they did all the areas they missed, because all of those areas are subtests. That's what I was getting at. They need to put everything in writing. Okay, Tracy? If they tell you no, this is the law. Here, I'm going to write it, okay? 34, and that's in here too. 34 CFR 300.503, okay? Prior written notice. Now, prior written notice has to do with evaluations, placement, identification of your child, and FAPE. Okay? I might have missed one, but those are the 4 top ones. Okay? You ask for an evaluation. It includes this. The district has 2 choices. Approve your request or deny. It's about proposals. You are proposing that you want your child evaluated for an FBA. You propose that to the school. School said no. When the school says no, they have to put it in writing, according to the law I just said. I can send you a link. I'll put it on the Facebook page, okay? 34 CFR is very, very important, okay? It involves anything that you have to do. When you ask the school district something, this is the reason why I tell you guys, get it in writing. If they said no, put it in writing. If they said no, and they didn't put it in writing, you put it in writing. You say in your email to them, on such and such a day, I requested an FBA. And on such and such a day, so-and-so during this meeting said no. And the issue, then the reason why is because, and then you put just exactly what you said to me. Is that correct? That's all you have to do. You're done. If they come back and they say, yes, that's correct, you say, okay, but then I'm going to teach you how to file a complaint. That's illegal. Because what they're supposed to do is there's a whole list of questions that they're refusing to conduct the evaluation that you requested. They can't, if they refuse, that's okay, they can refuse. But if they refuse, they have to answer you, they have to tell you exactly, there's certain questions that have to be answered. And if they don't answer them and they don't send you prior written notice, they're in violation. And it's bad, because when they tell you no, you know what else they're supposed to tell you? When they send you that notice? Your rights to dispute their stupid decision. Now, I have the Cooper book, so I can tell you verbatim why you need the FBA. I can give you the words, and I can give you the citation. And it's the book that trains, wait for it, board certified behavior analyst. That's the book they use to become behavior analysts. I have that book because I'm in school for that. Okay? I'm going to school for that. So whenever they tell you no, that's okay. Make sure they tell you no. Let a few days go by and wait. Just a few days, 5. Your go-to number is 5. Okay? What I would do is, after anytime you ask for something, go back home and send the special ed director an email. Say on such and such a day, I requested an FBA, and on that day during that meeting, so-and-so said this in response. Is that correct? That's all you need to do. They'll come back and say yes. That's not prior written notice. They're in violation of prior, or don't say anything. Don't say anything. Give it 5 days. If you don't hear from them, the next one that I'm going to do is how to file a complaint. I'm going to use New Jersey forms. It's not that hard.
Goody gumdrops. I'm in on that one.
Okay, I got to remember. You guys got to remember, because somebody brought this up a couple weeks ago about the components of an IEP. That before you get to the components of an IEP, you actually have to get to that spot, and that's why I've had this for years. I've had this PowerPoint presentation for like 3 or 4 years. So all I had to do is go get it. I just had to remember where it was. But
These are things that you have to know, and you have to know how to do them in order. Okay, because if you don't do them in order, it's going to get all screwed up, and that's how the schools get over. Okay, good, you guys. All right, I'm going to do because I have the, I have the app, what do you call it, the application for filing a complaint in New Jersey on my computer. So I'm going to use that. I will do a PowerPoint presentation. I will show you guys how to do all of it. I didn't know about I wasn't going to use GoToMeeting, but this is way too fun for me. I like it a lot, so I'm just going to do it. But anyway, and I'll show you. And what I'm going to do is, when I go to do it in New Jersey, I'm going to ask you guys. You're going to download it and you're going to type on it. I'm going to show you exactly how to do it. So while we're doing our PowerPoint presentation, you guys will be able to file your own at the same time and get it out that day. What the next step? Okay. I'm going to tell you how to do it. I'm going to tell you your evidence you need, all of that. Okay. But I lost my train of thought again. Where was I? What was I just talking about before that? God. It'll come back to me. I'm old. Things come back eventually. Okay. Important. Oh, was all areas of suspected disability? Was that what I was talking about? Okay. So anyway, here it is. Under federal law, under special education federal laws, the same process, here's my favorite, like I already said this anyway, the same process for requesting an initial eval also applies for re-eval. Okay, so once you get the first, now in New York, every time these fools do an evaluation, they call it the initial. There's a reason. They use this thing for the initial provision of services, special education services. Okay, the very first time you guys go into special education, you have to sign this thing called the initial provision of services for special education. And it's after you sign that you agree and you were told all of this information. What I'm doing right now, explaining to you what special education is, explaining to you how the process works. Once you sign that paper for the initial services, you're done. You never have to sign it again. Because what does initial mean? First. First time. After that, every 3 years, your kid gets reevaluated. By law, your kid must be reevaluated every 3 years. Okay? Now, could it happen sooner than that? Absolutely. I do it all the time. If my kid's real close to being to the reevaluation date, which will be on your kid's IEP, once your kid is initially evaluated, the bottom and somewhere on the IEP, it'll say reevaluation, and it'll have a date. Okay, so 3 years from the date you got evaluated the first time, 3 years later, the district must do another reeval. Okay, sometimes they get done early, and it depends on the kid, and it depends on the reason. It could be issues that have just popped off. It could be that in one case that I'm working on right now is that we decided to do a reeval because the school district wanted to get assessments for an outside contracted service provider, but they weren't going to be, they were just going to be observations. And so I said, well, if we're going to do that, because I already knew they were trying to reduce services. I said, well, if you're going to do that, then just do the whole reeval thing. So we did the whole reeval instead. So there's different circumstances where, now, if you want to do it early, if you want to do the reeval early, if both parties agree, if the parent and the school district agree to do it early, it gets done early, okay, before the reeval date. Now, there were times in the 3 years, there are times where another evaluation needs to be done. So let's say you never did speech and language, but within that 3-year timeline, you suspect that there's an issue with your child regarding speech and language. It could be speech, it could be a stutter, it could be articulation, it could be comprehension, it could be a whole lot of things. It could be anything to do with words and how your kid is blending them, if your kid knows his ABCs, all of that. Okay, I think that's what it is anyway. So let's just say, your kid is not writing. He's not writing at the age level that the kid, that most kids his age were, right? So that would be an OT thing. So then you would say, well, I want an OT. But
So you can do you can do additional assessments during that 3-year timeline. And that's okay. And every time you ask for an assessment, the district has 2 responses, approve it or deny it. If they deny it, then they have to put it in writing. If they approve it, then they send you a consent form. It's that easy. It's that easy. There's only 2. They don't get a second bite at the apple. Okay. If they've already done their evaluations, then they're done. They don't get do-overs. Okay. They only get to evaluate your kid 1 time in school every 3 years. Okay. That's it. So if you are asking for independent evaluations and the school comes and says, well, why don't you let us do it? Why would I do that? You did it wrong the first time. I'm disagreeing with your assessments. That's why I want somebody else to do it.
That's the problem that I'm having right now.
Well, and that's called getting a second bite at the apple, and you tell them absolutely not. Okay? You tell them they had 2 options, to approve or deny your request. And they're not getting a second bite.
The state ombudsman actually called me today, and I had said to her, that I was waiting to hear about the next facilitated IEP meeting, and she says, well, what's this document that I see from the school system that you want independent evaluation? She said that could be making the IEP, the facilitated IEP, wait, because they want to go to mediation about.
I don't want to go to mediation. Mediation is voluntary. All you have to say is no. They can't force you to do mediation. And that's what you tell them. If they're telling you this nonsense, you tell them, well, I strongly suggest this. You go look up mediation and under idea. And you tell them, look at the word that says voluntary. I don't have to do mediation. What the school has to do is if they file for a hearing, the school district has to have a team, a mandatory team resolution meeting. But that's only if a hearing is filed. Now, if the district is saying, well, let's just do mediation to resolve this, then you just say, how about we not? And you just answer my damn questions. How about I'm not doing mediation? How about that? How about you force me to do mediation? How about that? I'd like to see that happen. Because mediation cannot be forced. It's a voluntary thing. And nobody can look at you and say, why didn't you do this? Why didn't I do this? They want a second bite at the apple. Absolutely not. There's nothing to mediate. In order to have mediation, you actually have to have something to mediate. Just because you have a dispute doesn't mean you have something to mediate. There's no dispute. I want this, period. I don't want second bite at the apple. It's absolutely not.
Because they think it's too early.
Huh?
Because they think it's too early.
That's what they think. They don't need mediation. What they need to do is do 34 CFR 300.503. They need prior written notice, and they need to put why they're refusing to do it in writing. And then what they need to do is give you your dispute rights. That's what they need to do. Because anything less than that is a violation. And it's inconsistent. Mediation isn't going to fix that problem. But if you mediate, all of that will go away. Because what the mediation will do is, it'll say, anything that we've done or she's accused of doing or she's alleging that we did from today backwards in the last year, poof, gone. So now they just got away with everything. And they get a second bite at the apple. So mediation for them would be really good. What I tell them is, listen to me very carefully. You got 2 options. Okay? You either approve my request or you deny it. And then you go follow what the law says. Now, if you have a problem with that, what I can do is I can send you what the law says. Is that what you want me to do? Are you unfamiliar with the IDEA procedures? Who told you this stuff? Anyway, who was talking to you?
It was the state ombudsman was looking into why the district had filed the petition. I said and I explained to her, because John can't write a full sentence. I said he can't do basic math. And I kept I kept going on and on about everything that they haven't done for him. And she says, I'm going to call you back tomorrow. I'm looking into this. I'll call you tomorrow morning with your answers. Because she thinks, and I said that the state facilitator was considering doing a what do I want to call it, an investigation. She goes, "Oh, really?" I said, I seriously think that our school system needs to be looked at.
You don't understand. Okay, let me tell you what you can do. Now, you want the whole school district to be looked at? This is what we're going to do. I'm going to see if I can make this thing for next week, by next week, so we can have it for you guys. You need to file a complaint on the entire school district on that issue. Then the state has to come in and do an investigation for all the kids in your town. It's called a systemic investigation. There, I do it all the time. In New York, we got 27 kids. It was investigated that the school district did not refer children for special education after the parents requested it, and 27 kids had to be evaluated by the school district. It was in the paper.
It's kind of funny because I found out there's 217 kids on IEPs in the district.
What you need to do is I'm telling you, file a complaint. If you file a complaint on the whole district, then the state has to come in and do an investigation. And even if they come back with no findings, it's all in how you word your investigation. You have to be short, sweet, and to the point. Okay? So for everything you tell them, it's a law. And so that's how you talk to the ombudsman. I don't even know why. I don't know why you're talking to ombudsman. I don't know. Because the ombudsman really can't do anything. They can start some trouble, and they can make some phone calls and call the special ed director, and maybe that'll have an impact. I don't see how it could, but it might. You don't know. So let it roll. See what Chicky has to say, and then when she comes back, you tell her, listen to me very carefully. I'm talking to an advocate right now, and she told me, number one, mediation is voluntary, therefore I can't be forced. Number two, she said it sounds to her, based on the information that I gave her, that the only beneficiary of me going to mediation is that the school district is the school district, because they'll get everything. I don't want them to have a second bite at the apple. I want them to do any more evaluations, or if you do, I want them to do this one. This is what I want them to do, because the law says that if they're refusing to do what I'm requesting, then they have to put it in writing. And they have yet to put it in writing. I don't have time for this. Let me see what this is. They're looking forward to learning how to get the state to come in and investigate the district. Oh, I've done it. 27 kids. Actually, if you guys type in my name, Tammy Joya, Ithaca Voice, and you'll see the whole article was huge. It was really, really bad. And it was wonderful at the same time. I absolutely loved it. But it was the Ithaca Voice, and it was for the Dryden Public School District. That's DRYDEN School District in Dryden, New York. And the article was in the Ithaca Voice. And I think if you just type my name, Tammy Joya, Ithaca Voice, I think it'll come up. For Ithaca Voice, Tammy Joy, I think it'll come up. And then you'll be able to see what we did. And that's not the first time I've done stuff like that. It's because it works. If they're doing it to my philosophy is this: if they're doing it to your kid, they're doing it to everybody's kid. Nobody caught them. Nobody said anything.
Well, that's what I said to them. I'm tired of them getting away with stuff. I said, I want to know how what my rights are, and what what can be done, because they're driving the parents to move out of the district.
I don't care. Okay, I'm gonna tell you guys another little secret. Okay, when you have a problem like that and you see it's going on, contact OSAP. And before you contact OSAP, what you do is you create a paper trail of all the people you contacted and all of their responses to your question. And you take all of them and you send it to OSAP. And I'll tell you how to get a policy letter out of them. Or I'll tell you how to find policy letters. So that you can use it against the district and tell them, you can't do this. See, this is what OSAP, the people that gave you all that money for special ed, this is what they said about what you just did. I'll show you guys how to do that next Thursday. It's real easy. I actually have a link to it, and if I can make this thing go down, I'll show it to you before you get off. But anyway, like I said before, the school district only has 60 days to complete the evaluation, including writing the report and providing it to you. You should not reevaluate your child in the same areas unless previous testing is less than 2 years old. School districts like to test their kids early, over and over again, because if it's less than 2 years, let's say they give your kid the WISC 5 today. Next year they give them the WISC 5. You know what's going to happen? Next year your kid's going to get a better score in the WISC 5 than he did this year. The reason why he's familiar with the test. It's the same test. He'll be from winter season. The child will know you've done this, and then they do it again. So they do it 3 years, you give him the same test. That's illegal. And it's unethical. And it's unprofessional. Your child should not get the same test unless it's less than 2 years old. So that's why the government says, the idea says, every 3 years a kid has to be tested. So I'm saying 2 years, just in case, because sometimes, kids change, stuff happens, life happens, things happen to kids. So there may come a time where your kid may have to get tested again. In the same area in less than 2 years. That doesn't happen too often. Rarely does it happen. I think it's happened to me maybe twice. In my whole career, I had to get a kid tested in the exact same area. A lot of times it's kids who are severely disabled, severely cognitively delayed. Those are the kids, and because of their behaviors, have to be tested almost every year. But, like I said, that doesn't happen too often, okay? And like I said, it's not a concrete rule. Depending on the severity of the disability will determine if testing should be done sooner than 2 years. School districts will do it, and if they try to do it to you, you tell them absolutely not. You're gonna wait, because you're not doing that same test. And it doesn't matter, you don't wanna give the kid the same test, you don't, okay? So make sure your kid's getting tested I don't understand why this thing, I think, GoToMeeting is just stopping this from working. Okay, now here we go, people. We're getting into it. Once the testing has been completed, a team meeting is convened to discuss the results and recommendations to determine eligibility for special education services. This is the purpose for the evaluations, okay? So, remember, I'm talking about a team meeting. We're gonna have a team meeting to discuss the results. So, what I do is, I make sure that I get the written evaluations 48 hours prior to the team meeting. Because now, in 48 hours, I can review the testing with the parent and tell the parent, look, these are the bad things, this is what we need, this is what it says, blah, 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 blah. So we get on the same page. Once we get on the same, because this is what the school district's doing. Now, sometimes they don't give me the testing, or they don't give it to me. They don't give me all of the testing. I've canceled meetings because I didn't get the evaluations 48 hours before the team meeting. And then I filed against them for not giving, because it's a law. It's part of the law. If you ask for the evaluations 48 hours before the team meeting, they have to give them to you, no matter what. You cancel the meeting, go to the meeting, get all the evaluations, leave. And say the next time I ask for the evaluations 48 hours before the team meeting, I strongly suggest you give them to me. Now I have to cancel the meeting because I'm not prepared. The reason why I'm not prepared for this meeting is because you deliberately didn't give it to me. I don't want to hear your reasons, explanations, or excuses why you couldn't do your job. Now, any more talk, I expect, this is what you tell them, I expect you to schedule another team meeting as soon as possible, or you're in violation. Well, we're going to be, don't make your problem my responsibility. They're going to say, well, the meeting was supposed to be, this is the last day. That sounds like a personal problem. Sounds like you screwed up. It sounds like you tried to screw me because I'll bet you $10. You guys all had a meeting to discuss what was going to be discussed here regarding these evaluations. Meanwhile, I didn't have that same opportunity with my advocate or my husband or my cousin or my girlfriend or whoever. See, that's what you tell them. So before you get the testing, you make sure you tell them you want that 48 hours before the team meeting, okay? Because you need to be prepared.
For FBA, refusal contained within the concerns of, no. I sent in a pediatrician referral with the initial request, exact, wait a minute, I got this over here. What is this? However, Al is having no behavioral difficulties in school over the course of the, okay. First of all, they don't know that. The whole purpose is the BCBA comes to you and the BCBA says, what's the problem? Obviously, you're not in school with your kid, so you don't know. You know something. You know something. That's number one. Number two, you could actually get extended school day services for your kid so the BCBA can come to your home. That's number two. And number three, most kids' behaviors, if the child, let's say the child is as autistic, most of the behaviors are not generalizing across all settings. And if your child doesn't have autism but has a disability, and there are behaviors that are being seen at home but allegedly they're not being seen at school, well, you need that in writing. You need somebody to tell you that in writing. You need a professional to come in and tell you that in writing. So they have to put it in writing why they're refusing, and they have to meet the criteria of 34 CFR 300.503. It's just that simple. And if you go online and you read the criteria, it's long. There's a whole bunch of shit. There's a whole bunch of stuff that they have to, there's a bunch of questions they have to answer. For instance, what information did they use to make that determination? Their eyeballs? That doesn't count. Some teacher's assessment? It doesn't count. Because you're going to testify or you're going to put in writing that he is exhibiting misbehaviors. Now, since they're doing that to you, this is what I would do. Now I contact the school and I tell them I want observations, and you pick all different times. Every time the first one you do is in the morning, as soon as he gets to school. You go in there with a pad of paper. Go. Then you wait a couple of days, you call him up, you want to schedule another one. This time you want to schedule it after lunch. As soon as he has lunch, you want to see him. You want to schedule it for him walking in the hallway. You want to schedule it, you want to go see him in the lunchroom. You want to see him at recess, you want to see him in the library. If he has related service providers, one-to-one, you want to see him with those people. You want to see him in the classroom. You want to see all these different times. They can't stop you. Observation is also a law that you have the right to go observe your child. And so, not for nothing, they have to put it in writing. So let me ask you a question. You asked for an evaluation and did they give you your rights? They tell you you have the right to dispute this? I'm pretty sure they didn't if they added it to what did they do? They added it to where? Concerns for the parent? Yeah, no.
Hey Tammy, can evaluations, not evaluations, can observations also be done during the summer as well, during their summer school program?
Yep. As a matter of fact, if your kid is in a program by the school, by all means, you tell them you want him evaluated now. And they can't say, well, we can't do it. What do you mean we can't do it now? He's in summer school in your school district. What are you talking about? They have to put it in writing. But see, they got 60 days to get it all done. So, I mean, how much more time does he have in the summer school program? That's the thing. See, what I would have done, now that you know this, what you could do is wait until, like, next year, do it again. But when you put it in April for the summer program. See what I'm saying? So that way, when it comes time, because I would do it and see what they say. And you tell them you want them evaluated in the summer program. You have to be specific in that instance, because what they'll do is they'll say, well, when school starts, we'll do the evaluation. No, I want you to do it now. What's the problem? And they might say something stupid like, we don't have a provider. What do you mean you don't have a provider? So you're telling me you don't do any assessments during the summer? Then they have to put it in writing why they're refusing to do the evaluation for the summer program. They got 60 days to complete the evaluation. But that's why there's certain times, and it's a game. And that's a wonderful question, because now you know if you want your kid evaluated in the summer program, then what you have to do is you have to time it out right. So you have to time it out so that the evaluation, the 60 days ends while your kid is in the summer program. So it's got to be like, because for 2 weeks they don't start their summer program. So it's got to be right in that little honey spot, okay, honey hole. That's what it's a honey hole. See, because you got 6 weeks. So what you do is you request you make a request for the assessment to be done in the summer program and you do it real close to the end of the school year. So you will be incorporating the 2 weeks that he's not in school, so that's not there. So the 60 days doesn't start ticking really as of the date you asked for it. It skips over the 60 days, and it depends. In New Jersey, you got to check it out. It might be calendar days. So if you ask for the assessment to be done at the end of the school year, and they got 60 days, and it's 60 calendar days, you're good. Just do it now. Let me see. Okay, so they didn't put it in writing? Okay, good. They're in violation. That's a violation. They can't say that. They can't just say no when parent concerns. Parent concerns is the part of the IEP. So what did they put? We're not going to do it in parent concerns? That was your concern. You wanted it done, Tracy. Is that what you're telling me? You wanted it done and they put it in parent concerns? What? They said no? We don't feel we need to do it? And there's nothing. Okay, I'm going to tell you guys a funny story. There's nothing in the idea that talks about the stupid school district's feelings. Okay, so let me tell you what happened to me about the school district's feelings. So I go to a team meeting, and my client was involved with another state agency that was called Wraparound, and they were helping her. And so they had gone to a couple of meetings with the parent. And when they went to the meeting, they asked that the child be evaluated. She had never been evaluated. She had serious social, emotional, and behavioral problems. And the school district came back and told this person from another agency with the mother sitting there, we don't feel that she needs to be evaluated. Okay, so then the mother hired me. I'm reading these reports, and in the report, the woman actually put that she was a third party who witnessed this statement. So she writes in there that the school district so-and-so said that the district doesn't feel that the student needs to be evaluated. I read now, I'm pissed. I go to the team meeting and I let them talk. So I told this woman, who I actually liked, and I said, so-and-so was in here a couple of weeks ago, and she said, according to her documents, her notes, that you told her when they asked for the child to be evaluated, you said that the district didn't feel that it was necessary. I looked at her for a long time and I said, I'm sorry. She said, because she agreed, she said, yes, I did. I said that. I said, oh, I'm sorry. I must have missed that in the federal regulations regarding the school district's feelings. I said, there's nothing in the idea regarding the school district's feelings, and you know it. You got 2 seconds to give me the consent form so the mother can sign this so you can evaluate this kid, Aura. I take you to hearing, and you can tell that little nonsense to the hearing officer. It'll be a one-day hearing, maybe only 5 minutes, and I'll win. Are you going to evaluate this kid? Of course, she came back and she evaluated my client, and guess what? School district funded a residential program, special needs program for this child for 1.5 years, and her brother. So you got to be careful with these school districts, because when they talk about their feelings or when they talk about things like that, they're having us sign a prize form. I don't know what's a prize. What's that? Surprise? What's that? What's a prize form, honey? I don't know what a prize form is. And I had to get a
in
paper.
New Jersey, it's a booklet that they have to give you with your parental rights. And when you get the booklet, you have to sign a paper stating that you received it. Or if you don't want a copy, if you don't want the copy, then you sign that you don't want the copy.
Okay, sign that you got the copy, but what I need you to do first is say, is that for the IEP or your request for the evaluation? Because you see, the reason I'm asking that question is, according to you, the PRN for FBA refusal contained within the concerns of the parent on the IEP. But when you get an IEP, you automatically get the prize. That's what you're supposed to get. What I'm telling you is you're supposed to get 2. You're supposed to get 1. You're supposed to get prior written notes regarding your request to the FBA. And you're supposed to get prize with that. You're supposed to get prize with the IEP. Okay, so you should have got 2 prizes. That sounds so silly. You should have got 2 prizes. Instead, you got 1, and that one was for the IEP. That's what they were supposed to do. Because on the bottom of the form, on the last page somewhere, it asks the question, did you receive the Parents' Rights brochure? You're going to check that sucker off and sign it. And what they do in New Jersey is you sign the book. So sign it. Yes, I did get it. But what you need to do is, before you sign that, I would reject the IEP in part. Just tell them you don't agree with that sentence. Just put in there that you don't agree with the sentence. Just write it right on the IEP or write it on the prize. The page you have to sign and give it back to them. Tell them you don't agree with what they said about your request for. And that's just what you say. I do not agree with the district's decision regarding my request for an FBA. That's all you put. Don't say nothing else. Give it a couple of days and see what they do with it. Sign the prize that you received it. But tell them you don't agree under the parents. You tell them where it is. And you tell them you don't agree with that. That's what you're doing. Now you got it on the record. Because when I help you do the complaint, we're going to use that. But I need you to set them up. And that's what I'm doing. All of this training is to set them up, is to teach you how to set them up to lose. That's what we're doing. Okay? So that's what you do with that. And then, next week, hopefully, exact center. They can't use the IEP. They can't use the, I had to get a paper from the Board of Ed. I had to get a paper copy from the Board of Ed. They didn't give you the prize, then don't sign it. And put that in there. I believe it is a calendar days because my request for FBA is dated for August 1st to be completed by October. It's that 60 days. August, September, oh yeah, that's 60 days. Oh, it's calendar days in New Jersey? Yep. It's good. Massachusetts, it's schoolwork.
Yes, yes.
Good. Okay, cool. They have signed at IEP, meaning they don't give book because they have to give you a copy. That's illegal too. So
Yes.
what you have to do is you tell them absolutely not. They have to give you a copy or you're reporting them. Tell them, first, there's so many things wrong with this, you're not getting it then. Tell them, I'll tell you what, I'll take a copy. Don't sign it. Tell them, give it to me. Tell them, give it to me. What they don't want you to have a copy of that.
Yeah, at the beginning of the meeting, you're supposed to give her a copy of that book.
You tell them, you tell them you're not getting this. I want the book now. I'm not signing anything. And I'm going to report you, and this is going to be the reason why I filed for an investigation. And now, since you do this, so you do this to everybody, before you say that, you say, is this what it says? This is common practice? This is what you do to everybody? And they're stupid. They're going to say yes. And make sure you get their names. And if you can't, record them. Ask them if you can record your team meetings. In New York, do you have to get permission to record team meetings? Hello? In New Jersey?
I know in New Jersey, Tammy, I've done it. You just have to give them written notice, 24 to 48 hour notice that you're gonna record the meeting.
Tracy, that's what you're gonna do. And all you have to do is bring your phone and put it on and shut off the ringer or something, or bring a laptop and just turn your recorder on your laptop. And I don't care about nothing else in the meeting. The only thing I want you on record is answering your question. Is this common practice that you will give me a copy of the document that I signed? You don't sign nothing unless you get a copy of it. I don't care if it's a car, a house, your lease, your mortgage papers, rent-a-center. I don't care. You don't sign anything unless you get a copy. Ever in life. That's a part of your child's records. And that's what you tell them. You do understand that that's the student record, right? Are you people retarded? And then people get mad at me when I use words like that. I mean, somebody give me another word to use besides that. I know it's not nice, but I don't know what else to call them. Oh, God. Honey, okay, so that's what you do. Don't sign anything. You tell them I'm not signing it unless I get a copy of it. I'll tell you what, you give it to me. I'll sign it and I'll send you a copy. How about that? How about I do that? But just make
it is a New Jersey state law that they, at the beginning of the meeting, they're supposed to receive a copy of the prize. There's actually a New Jersey statute that states that.
Of course I noticed you like you had two hands because the team people were supposed to give that to you.
Believe me, Tammy's taught me a lot, and I'm learning more and more as I go. I'm going through what she's going through, I'm going through, and Tammy is a vast world of knowledge, and she has helped me so much with going through all this.
I'm happy. I'm glad. I feel, it makes me feel good that I love doing this. I absolutely love it with all of my heart. And I'm glad that I can share what I've learned the hard way with you guys. See, there wasn't a me. I wish there was somebody like me and that knew what I know right now. And I don't know everything. I mean, there's lots of times where I get stumped and I got to go do research and I got to call people. But it was hard. I learned all of this stuff by myself by doing what I'm telling you guys to do, and it's a pain. But at least you guys have, I'm telling you where to go get the information. And as far as them looking at you like you had two heads and telling you, so wait a minute, okay, I'm confused. These people want you to go get the prize, sign it, and give it to them. Don't do none of that. Don't do it. No. Don't do it. And if you did it, I know that, but I don't know what you're talking about. In New Jersey, we have to let them know. You have to let them know what? Okay, about taping? Good. Yeah, do that. I've learned so much. Aw, you're such a sweetie pie. Aw, you guys don't have to be grateful, honey. This is fun. This is what I like. I like doing this. It's fun. Okay, go to the next one. Stop it, you guys. Okay, now it's 5. Here we go. It's a team meeting, guys.
Insert Rocky music.
Eligibility team meeting. This happens every single time you get evaluated. Oh, I did leave out something. Let's say you guys go to an outside person to get an evaluation done. Give it to, if it's in your kid's favor to get services, give the school district a copy as soon as you get it done. Okay? Give them a copy. Now, when you give them a copy of your evaluation that you funded, they still have to have a team meeting 10 days after they get a copy of the evaluation. Okay? So, this is what it's all about. The eligibility team meeting is all about discussing, okay, here it is right here. The purpose of the meeting is to determine special education eligibility by discussing the results of the testing, and the meeting invitation has to be sent to you regarding the date, time, location, and purpose of the meeting. Okay? All of that's what's going on. Okay? So, now we go straight to the meeting invitation. So that's what the meeting's about. Okay, let's go back. This is what the meeting's about. This is why you have to have it. Eligibility team meeting. It's the determination of eligibility. That's what it's called. Okay? This is what you're going to do. The first two things on this list, that's what the purpose of the meeting is. The third thing is, in order to get to the first two, a meeting invitation has to be sent to you. Okay? So, the meeting invitation has to include the date, time, and location of the meeting. The purpose of the meeting, it actually has a box to tell you what the meeting is about. So, if the meeting is about discussing the results of the evaluations, it'll say that. If it's to develop an IEP, because sometimes these meetings go real long, so you might have a second and a third meeting. So if the meeting is about developing the IEP, that's the purpose of the meeting. If the purpose of the meeting is to discuss placement, after you did those two meetings, that's what the thing will say. It has to say that. Whatever the purpose of the meeting, you cannot go blind into a meeting. They can't say it's an annual review if it's about placement. Placement is not an annual review. An annual review is to sit down and discuss about the kid. Do we make any changes? Do we need to modify this? Is there any new information that we could add to the IEP? That's the annual review, to discuss progress. Did the kid make any gains? Okay? And, oh, I did it wrong. Okay, back up there. And the meeting invitation has to include a separate sheet, or it could be on the same sheet, has to include who's attending the meeting. And it can't be, if you did 6 evaluations, the team meeting can't be 2 people, the team chair, the psychologist, and you. For every evaluation that's done, every single evaluation that's done, that means that there has to be a person that can interpret that evaluation at your meeting. So if you have an OT, a PT, and a speech and language pathologist, a speech and language evaluation done, then you have to have an OT, a PT, and a speech and language pathologist at your meeting. The team chair, who's not a speech and language pathologist, who may be a psychologist, cannot interpret a speech and language evaluation because she is not, or he is not, licensed or certified in that discipline. Okay? Now, let's say the OT and the PT come, but the speech and language pathologist doesn't. What they're supposed to do is give you a document and to ask you, will you waive this person from this meeting? The answer is absolutely not. We're not waiving nothing. Where are they? Go get them. Well, they were sick. Well, then I guess we're going to have another team meeting. That's what we're going to have with that person here. Because no. Are you a speech and language pathologist? No, I'm not. Well, then good. I need to speak to the speech and language pathologist, preferably the one that wrote this evaluation, because I have questions about this evaluation. Hence the reason why you need to make sure you have your evaluations 48 hours before the team meeting, because of these issues right here that will come up. Now, the only way that they're excused from having a person not attend the meeting is you signing a waiver. Over my dead, rotten, stinking, smelly, maggot-filled body are you to sign a waiver, especially for a team meeting to discuss evaluations. The only Say it again.
What would the waiver look like?
It just says waiver of so-and-so to attend the team meeting. That's all it says. It's just a form they make up. They never have asked me to waive that person from the meeting. And the person didn't show up? Good. So what you do is, since they didn't do that, Meredith, and next week hopefully we'll be doing the state complaint, what you do then is you contact them and you ask them, because the sign-in sheet's it says right there who's supposed to be at the meeting. Go get your meeting invitation list, okay, with all the attendees. Contact the school and tell them you want a copy of all of the meetings that you had and the sign-in sheet. You want a copy of them. Then after you get them, you send them another email and you say, please send me a copy of the waivers that I signed for all of these people not to come to my meeting, who were invited, who were crucial given the purpose of this meeting.
Tammy, I got told that like when OT and PT aren't at the meetings, it's because it takes time away from
I don't care.
service.
Stop. Don't care. Don't even finish that sentence. I don't care. That sounds again like a personal problem. So if the OT and the PT can't be there and you didn't sign, you tell them, listen to me very carefully. I am not waiving them. If they are not there, I am filing against you. And you can tell that stupidness, that nonsense, you can tell that to the state. Is that what you do with all the OTs and the PTs? Remember, always ask that question. Is this common practice? And you ask it in writing. Is it common practice in this school district that the OT and the PTs don't come to team meetings because whatever they told you?
They told me to take away hours from him getting his services.
Yeah, I bet. So you tell them, is that correct? And they're going to come back and say yes, because they're stupid and they don't know what you're about to do. Because you got them. Because guess what you have? You have an attendance list that you were sent from the school district. And if you didn't get that, they're screwed. So what you do is, you get your kids, this is how you can prove that they weren't there. You get the attendance list, you get the sign-in sheet, and your kid's IEP. Okay? You get the meeting invitation. For each one of those team meetings, you have to have gotten A meeting invitation with the sign-in sheet, with the list of everybody that they're proposing is coming to your team meeting for your kid. Well, the meeting invitation went to everybody that went to that meeting. And if whoever didn't sign in didn't show up, and if they didn't show up, and you didn't waive them, because they can say, well, that person didn't sign. That's not true. That person wasn't there. That's why they didn't sign. And again, and then if you have more than one with people not signing in, that means that's a problem, because you're going to testify they didn't come. And then all you have to do is get the meeting notes. When did these people ever talk? The people that aren't there, did they ever say anything? Of course
What
they
if
didn't.
what if they refuse to give you the meeting notes?
That's a violation. They have to. They have to. There's case law on them not giving it to parents. It's not good. You tell them you got 2 seconds. And you tell them you just made a request for, that's your kids' records. Those are your kids' records. They'll tell you they're not. You say, good. As soon as they tell you they're not your kids' records, you make sure they tell you that in writing. And, okay, here's another thing, guys. They might call you to answer your questions via email. If you see, once you send out an email and the school's calling you, and I know the temptation is to answer because you think your kid's in danger or something, just let it go to voicemail. Just let it go to voicemail, and then as soon as it hangs up, then call it and listen to it. And if it's what I think it is, in answer to your question, send them an email and say, on such and such a day, I sent an email regarding this. Or just send the email again. Send the same email and say, second request. And then say, on such and such a day, I received a phone call regarding my request below. And instead of sending me an email, somebody contacted me, and you say what that person said. And in answer to that, in answer to the question below, this person said, yada, yada, yada. You just created a paper trail, okay? That's how you get them. Everybody's supposed to be there because there's this thing called, this is what you tell them. When they say that people can't come because they got better things to do than to go to your kids' meeting, because that's what they're saying, you say, okay, so what part of me meaningfully participating in my child's meeting as a decision-making authority for my son, don't you understand? So what you're telling me is I can't ask any questions of the OT and the PT because they're too busy to come to the meeting that they're providing services to my kid? Are you kidding me? Is that what you want me to put in my complaint?
It was funny because the next meeting that we're having for the IEP, they wanted to excuse the federal education teacher, and I said, no way. And I cited the federal government CFR code as well as the New Jersey statute code. And he goes, okay, she'll be there. So they're going to have to pay her salary for the day that she has to come in. I said, I don't care. I will not allow anybody to be excused. End of story.
That's all you have to tell them. Absolutely not. Because here's what you tell them. I'm not excusing anybody, and if they don't show up and they don't participate, you've denied me my rights to fully participate in the team meeting process. You've denied me the right to ask questions, which means you're denying me the right to meaningfully participate. And you're denying me the right to make an educated decision as to whether or not I want to accept anything that you're proposing. Do you understand the number of denials I just stated to you that you're in violation of? Is that, I mean, I don't understand. What part of this don't you understand? And that's how you talk to them. I don't care nothing about it. You tell them, I don't understand. What part of this you don't understand? My job. Okay. The IEP is the heart of IDEA. The parents' participation, if the IEP is the heart of IDEA, the parents' participation under IDEA is the meat and all the blood running through it to make it work. You guys are just as important as the IEP under IDEA. They want to minimize your importance because they want you to stop it. They don't want you doing all of this stuff. You're going to do it anyway to piss them off. If nothing else, but to piss them off. And it's fun. I'm telling you, it's fun. Because after you do this stuff, after a while, you'll sit down like me and one of my parents used to do every single time we went to a team meeting. We go out into the parking lot after the team meeting, and we just yuck it up. We talk about everything that they said. how they said it, and as they're coming out of the building, because, you know, they got to go to all different places because our meetings were like 15, 20 people deep. And one by one, they start coming out and they see us in the parking lot laughing, yucking it up. They know we're talking about them because as we're yucking it up, we turn to look at who's ever coming out of the building. And then we turn back and laugh some more. So they know we're talking about them. I don't care. We did it on purpose. I don't care nothing about it. But that's what, after a while, you'll get used to this so much. That's what you'll do. I'm telling you. So, and this is how the paper trail starts. All of this is how the paper trail starts and continues. Now, okay, this is a form from Massachusetts, but this is pretty much the exact wording for every single meeting invitation across the United States in every single school district. So you'll have your name and stuff up here. Here it is right here. You have your name of the school district, all of this, a contact. Oop, I put that woman's there, it doesn't matter. It's her telephone number and everything, and the notice date. The subject is a meeting invitation. So then it says right here, you are invited to discuss, yada, yada, yada. Your participation is essential. The purpose and details of the meeting are printed below. Other invited participants are listed on the enclosed attendance form. It is your legal right to be present and to participate. Also, the school district values your input. That's a lie, especially this school district, and hopes you will make every effort to attend this meeting. Yes? Excuse me. Push. Hold on. Hold on, you guys. I'm going to put you on pause, I think. Stay there. I'll be right back. Sorry, family emergency. So anyway, so this form has everything that we need, okay? This form is perfect. This is what the law says right here. This is what the law says the state has to do, the school district has to do, okay? And so now I can, how did I do? Oh, yeah. Okay, so let me see if I can do this. Oh my God, I don't like it. This is not, I think I should have left this. Okay, there we go. Oh, okay, there's another one right here behind it. Okay. Here's the thing that you guys have to understand too. Just because the school district commands that you guys have to be there on a certain day at a certain time doesn't mean that's what you have to do, because there's this wonderful handy dandy thing in the law regarding meeting invitations, okay? It's called mutually convenient. All team meetings are to be convenient for all parties, including the parents. So when they say, well, that's the only time we have, we say, okay, good, I'll tell you what, write that out just like that. This is the only time you had, and this is what you do. You send them a letter and you say, these are the dates that I have available and these are the times. And you give them a whole bunch and you send it to them and you tell them, pick one. They're going to come back and say something stupid like, well, we only do team meetings on Mondays. Again, that sounds like a personal problem. So tell them to put that in writing. Tell them that it just happens to be the only day I'm not available. I don't know what to tell you. Because it has to be mutually convenient. It's not all about the school. I had to tell a hearing officer that one day. The school district and the hearing, I'm in a hearing. School district and the hearing officer talking back and forth about how we're going to schedule the dates and times and everything. And the mother's like, my husband can't come here on that day. And I was like, hey, woo. I know you guys think that everybody should work on your time, but we don't all work in education. Her husband is a construction guy. Therefore, he can't come up here. He works construction. We're going to need to figure out a different time. The hearing officer looked at me and he said, yeah, I guess you're right. Yeah, you think? Stupid? So, another thing is, no matter what state you are from, a school district must include the meeting invitation, the purpose of the meeting, the date, the time, the location of the meeting. All of that's down here. Whoops.
Sit down. Okay, so here it is right here. Purpose of the meeting. See what it does? And then down here, it tells you the date and the time and all of that. Okay? They all have to look like this. They all contain the same thing. If they don't, they're in violation. It's just that simple. Okay? I don't know what I did. Okay. So here's the attendance sheet. Here's who's coming to your team meeting. These are all the people. I don't care if their names are there. I'm gonna give a shit. They all work for the state. So anyway, these are all the people that are going to be at the team meeting, and here's all of their titles. And then here's their initials, and then it says not necessary or excused. Now, the forms may be different. They still have to look the same. They may look a little different, but for all intents and purposes, they have to include the names of the people that are coming, and they have to include their role, and they have to have a spot for everybody to sign in when they start the event, when they go to the meeting. ESY is at same school as kindergarten was. Good. That's okay. It does that. Are you telling me that because you want the evaluation done at the for the ESY? Good. Try it. That's fine. Try it. Tell them you want it done. Okay. Any and all service providers, special ed, regular ed teachers must participate in your team meeting unless you, the parents, sign a waiver releasing their attendance. Period. You don't release it. They gotta go. And guess what? If they've been released, there'll be a waiver signed by you saying I'm waiving this person, say Catherine Memory, from attending the meeting. That's what it'll say. They'll say your name and the person you're waiving, and because you have to write it in, and it'll say it on this form. It should say waived, not necessary, okay? Or excused. It'll say excused. You excused them. I want to keep her at the same school for first grade. You have to tell me what that means. I don't know what that means. You should be able to keep her at the same school for first grade. I don't understand why they would move her. And you can reject that placement. Whoops. Go back up. This is where individual participant roles are identified. Okay, this is where I just told you that. Okay, good. So let's do this. Okay. The team members. This is who has to come to your team. Okay, wait, I gotta do this again. Let me go back. Okay, these are the people under the law. There are certain people that have to be at your team meeting. Now, in Massachusetts, they just took the team members out of the state special ed book. The laws, their special ed regulations, they just took team members right out of there. Yeah, you know why? Because there's people that are supposed to be at the team meetings. These are the people, whoops. These are the people that are supposed to be parents. You're the team member. I know it's hard to believe, but you are a team member. Regular and special ed teachers. Okay, so if your kid is getting special ed services and regular ed, and they're in regular ed, both of them have to be there, regular ed and special ed. The district representative. So there has to be somebody sitting at that table that if you ask for something, they have to tell you yes or no. They have the authority, they were designated to tell you yes or no. They can't
Like
say.
the special ed director?
Say what? Say it again.
Like the special ed director?
Exactly. The special ed director either has to show up or they have to designate somebody with the authority to make a decision based on your request, yes or no. So if you ask for an evaluation or an independent evaluation, or you ask for another placement, they have to have somebody sitting in that room that has the authority to do it. So if you ask for that and they said, well, I got to go ask the special ed director, then you say, so you don't have any authority sitting at this meeting? Are you kidding me? So, okay, the meeting's over. You go back and you tell your boss that I said, I'm going to a new meeting. This time I want somebody here who has authority. Meeting's over. And they're going to say, well, the meeting is over. And by the way, tell the SPED director that I'm reporting her. This is a violation and it's inconsistent for 34 CFR 300.321. Tell her to go read that. Okay, so, and if you speak if your native language is not English, the district has to pay for somebody, an interpreter, to come there to interpret everything. And if your native language is not English, they have to interpret every piece of paper you have that they're giving you. They have to interpret everything in your language, in your native language. Or they're in violation. Okay? And if the student is 14 years of age or older, they have to invite the student too. Now, most of the time, I don't let my students go, my clients, because sometimes it gets hairy. Or I let them come just for the good part. And then I say, okay, go to class. And then I tell them before we go in there, you're only staying for the good part. Okay? They're going to tell you how wonderful kid you are, all of that stuff. And if you have anything you want to ask, what do you want to ask them? And they tell me, I say, okay, you can ask them that. But other than that, you're out. Because this stuff here is just, making sure you get services and support. You don't need to be here. And because sometimes the kids get really upset, they get anxious, and then they end up getting in trouble. When they know they're having a team meeting, their mother's going to be there, then they get all nervous and stuff. You don't need that with the kids. They don't need to know that you're coming up to the school for a team meeting unless you're going and they can present well, okay? I'm hurrying this because I got to go talk to somebody. I could just, I got 10 more slides. Okay, I can't. The team, okay. It also consists of a person of authority, this is what I was just telling you, empowered to commit the school district to agreed upon services and or placement. This is 300.321A1. The school district cannot state during the team meeting that they have to consult with anyone concerning a request for our service or support. This is what I just said, okay? They can't, and that's the law. I'm going to post this as soon as I get done tomorrow, okay? I got to figure it out, but this is real juicy for you guys. There's a way, if I send it in, I might give it to you. I don't know which way to do it, but I'll tell you what. If you guys want the slide, the actual slide, I can send that to you, and then you guys can actually print it out, okay? So you can have it. Qualification of the team members. Yeah. First, throughout this process, you will hear or read about the team. Okay, you will need to know who they are and their qualifications. The link below will explain, okay, there's no link, but we'll explain who the players are in the team, federal regulations, IEP team. That's where you go to find out all about who the team is and what the team must consist of when they're developing an IEP and discussing evaluations and who you should and should not waive from a team meeting to discuss anything. You, the parent or legal guardian, are a part of the team. You have to remember that, okay? Tracy, you and I got to talk. But I think I can help you with the complaint. Okay, the district representative. This is what it talks about specifically. The person who has the authority to make decisions. That's the law right there. See all those little A4, I, through double, triple I? The person, the district representative, okay, must be qualified to provide or supervise the provision of specially designed instruction to meet the unique needs of children with disabilities. In other words, a member of the team from the school district must have the power and authority to commit to the services, supports, and or placement that the team agreed that the student would need. If this person is not at the team meeting, it is a substantial denial of faith. Because now you gotta wait. You gotta wait. Because they didn't do their job right. Person sitting at that better have something. Active and knowledgeable team participant. This means you are not totally relying on the school district to make all of the decisions regarding your child. This means that you have control and you have valuable information to contribute to the team, and it also means you refuse to be dismissed merely because you are the child's parent. Active and knowledgeable participant. That's who you are. Remember that. Copy it and make a poster and put it on your wall. You are your team meeting. Remember, this meeting is about your child with a disability. It is not about a cookie cutter approach to fitting your child with a disability into a program that is inappropriate just to save $1. Furthermore, that's called shoehorning, by the way. You can't create a program. You can't have the child fit the program. The program fit the, how do I do it? Cookie cutter approach. I know there's a way I'm saying this wrong. The child comes first and then the program. So the IEP is the program. Okay, the IEP is the program. All they got to do is go implement it. If they implement that program, you're good. Okay, it's not the other way around. The program doesn't make the kid. Okay. School staff may prefer that you believe that they have the last say. This is not true. They are the first step. always. There are many levels if you do not agree with any part of the team's decision. Never, ever, you can go all the way to federal court, which 2 of my parents are in right now, and they're doing it pro se. Whole nother conversation, not as hard so far as we thought. It's called due process. Rejecting the IEP in whole or in part means a team resolution, mediation, or hearing. If it means a hearing, you do not prevail in whole or in part, you can appeal all the way to federal court. That's the way it is. Okay, that's just simple. It's just that simple. It's not as difficult as they want you to think it is. Okay, what did I do? When the team determines eligibility, don't want to work. What did I do? I missed it. Okay.
Saw that one.
Okay, wait. There you go. Your team meeting. Saw that one. There you go. Bye-bye. Federal education. Okay, that's the law for the evaluation procedures. Test results. Your test results must include the type of tests administered. The evaluation procedures, that's what this is about. The evaluation procedures include the type of tests that are administered. So informed consent includes this. They have to use a variety of tools, instruments, testing instruments like the WISC-5, the Vineland, the BASC. Those are instruments, okay? The Wyatt, the WIPSI. Those are all instruments of determining your child's current performance level in all kinds of areas, okay? The BOT2 is for OT and PT, okay? The test must be technically sound. The testing instruments I just told you, those are all valid and reliable, technically sound instruments, all of them. The ABLES are. The individual that administered the test with credentials. These people have to be credentialed in a specific discipline in order to implement all of these tests. Now, if you're doing an observation, it depends. Okay, it depends on what area you can't have an OT doing a PT eval. You can't have, unless they're certified and licensed in that field. Everybody has to be licensed and certified in their discipline. Okay, you can't, a speech and language pathologist can't do an OT eval. Must assess in all areas related to the suspected disability, and I should have put or known disability. Suspected or known disability. Must include recommendations from the evaluator based on the results of the testing administered. Because when you go to the team meeting, these fools completely leave it off. And they say, well, it's the team's decision. It's not the team's decision to determine the frequency and duration of speech and language services. I don't know anything about speech and language. I don't know how to implement speech and language services. If you're not a speech and language pathologist, then how would you know? If I might want 50 days of speech. I might want 40 hours of speech. I mean, that's probably not going to happen. 3 times 30, that's doable. I don't know what's doable. I didn't write the evaluation. I didn't conduct any of the assessments. The only person that can make those decisions is the person that wrote the evaluation. It's like going to a heart doctor. You wouldn't go to a cardiologist, get an assessment done, and have the podiatrist tell you about your heart. Who does that? Nobody. Nobody. Podiatrist is for the foot, I think. A foot doctor can't tell you about your heart. They can't tell you they can't interpret the results of testing for your heart. And they can't make recommendations as to the type of medicine. And if you go do that, then you're crazy. I would never do that. That's why we have specialists. That's why we have certification for various fields. This is why. That's why a BCBA can't practice as a BCBA in a state without being nationally certified. And in a lot of states licensed. This is why. Everybody has to have credentials. And it's not a bad thing to ask for. When the team determines eligibility, they must also determine the category of disability, and it may be multiple. Okay, it might be multiple things. Then they have to develop the IEP. Okay, the team, including you, they develop the IEP, and they determine placement.
And they have to do it in that order, okay? Category comes first, develop the IEP comes second, okay? And
Okay, may I ask
determine,
a question?
go ahead.
Okay, my younger one, category disability. They had their first initial one when he was 3. They're now going to do his reevaluation for kindergarten, I
Yeah.
guess, to come up with the category of disability.
No.
They've outsourced all of the
Wait.
What?
They don't have the cat, when they did the initial evaluation, they didn't have a
they
category?
just said preschool disabled.
There's no such thing. That's illegal. File against them. What you do is send that category of disability. Colorado did some wild crap like that. They actually created another category outside of what the idea said. They got in trouble big time. Big time. Send it over to the state and to OSAP and say, what the hell does this mean? Because without that category, guess what your kid didn't get? All of the services and supports they needed. So ask the state special ed director, what the hell does that mean? And make sure you send it to OSAP.
Okay.
Rebecca, and you say, Rebecca, I'm tired of this. Somebody needs to answer a question. What the hell does this mean? I've never even heard of this before, and it's nowhere in the idea requirements, 300.8. There's no such thing, pre-K. Now, this really is, once your kid's in pre-K, your kid is 3. So your kid falls under idea, Part B. Not Part C anymore, Part B. So tell her there's nothing under here about the definition of a disability under Part B, 34 CFR 300.8. What the hell is a pre-K disability? Which is, I don't even, so that means that they didn't do any evaluations on your kid. They didn't do any, I'm telling you right now. Because if they did, they would have found out what it was.
Okay.
Okay? File against them. The team meeting process, there are certain components of the team meeting process that must be in place in accordance with IDEA. This section gives you important answers directly related to how, when, where, who, and why the team meeting process is conducted. It specifically addresses your child, if your child is deemed eligible or if not eligible. Most importantly, it gives the timelines the district must adhere to. Simply put, it gives directions and instructions to this process, okay? This is what we're gonna do now, the team meeting process. Bye-bye. Okay. Now here, somebody. Okay. So, these are components of the IEP. Okay. There are certain components that need to be in an IEP. This is to assist the team in making a determination as to the type of services, supports, or placement. And that's 34 CFR 300.320. Okay? There are 9 elements of an IEP under the federal regulations. This is also incorporated into the state regulations. Okay, so every state has them. Certain questions need to be answered given the results of the evaluations. In order to obtain this information, evaluations completed must be scientifically based and proven in what? Wait a minute. And I can't see that. And proven, scientifically based and proven, I don't know what that means. I don't know what I did. Or technically sound. Okay. I'll think of what that should have said. God, now I don't know. Oops. I'm going to figure this out, guys. Okay, here are the 9 elements. The IEP has to determine, based on the evaluations, present level of performance. Okay, it has to include measurable academic and functional goals. That's when they say 80% of the time, 3 out of 4 opportunities. That's measurable. That's when they put that in there. That's what that means. Okay, how the student will meet the annual goals, such as quarterly IEP progress reports. How are they going to show that your kid met these goals at the end of the year? Special education and related services and supplemental aids and any program modifications. Those are accommodations and related services, which goes somewhere under a service delivery page.
Everybody has a list of all of the services that are going to be provided to the kid. It's on one page of the IEP. A reason why a student would be separated from non-disabled peers, so they can't just separate your kid because they feel like it, okay? They have to tell, because when they pull your kid out of the general population, that's a more restrictive environment. And to be more restrictive, you have to prove the reason why. And usually it's because of the amount of services your kid's getting. The type of accommodations has to be listed. Now, when you have an IEP, your IEP also includes 504 stuff, accommodations, okay? So it has to say like a slant board, frequent breaks, preferential seating, visual aids, those are all accommodations. The start and end date for services, the frequency, duration, frequency and duration to begin those services, that all has to be in there. Who's going to give those to the type of person, the type of personnel that's going to give them, like what are their titles, OT, PT, SLP, those are, it has to identify those people. And that the IEP is going to be updated annually. There has to be a date on there when it's going to be updated, the actual date. And if the child is at the age of majority, which is 18, not later than 1 year prior to his or her 18th birthday, explaining the transfer of rights. So when your kid is just about to turn 18, there's this thing called the age of majority statement, in which your child can give you the rights to continue as their parent, making educational decisions, or you can do it as a team, or the child can say, no, I'm going to make all my educational decisions because I'm 18 and I can do this. So, and at the age of majority, if there's an issue regarding your child's cognitive abilities, then we have to have a discussion about, what do you call it? Guardianship. Guardianship. And that just reminded me of somebody I got to do that with. So this is what your IEP should look like. And even this IEP was revised. So here's a child's IEP. See where it says current level of performance? All IEPs should have this statement in there. So you know what you're looking at. This is, and you can disagree with some of the stuff that's in here. Okay? Whatever they write, you don't have to accept verbatim. You can tell them, no, that's not true. I don't see that at all. I reject that. So the current level of performance is right there. And then we have measurable goal. Here it is right here. Okay? So here it is. By the end of the IEP period, we'll increase our academic readiness skills through matching pictures to pictures of objects, identifying colors. So here it is right here, annual goal, okay? So then, and see, this is in Massachusetts, so they have benchmarks. Whoops. Okay, here's the objective. So here's where it says, in 8 out of 10 opportunities across the 3 consecutive sessions. That's a measurable goal, okay, for the kid to meet, and then it lists all those things there, okay. Here's another one that's present in Massachusetts. We call this PLEP A, and it's present level of educational performance, general curriculum. These are all the areas that this IEP is going to include. English, this is the educational part. Then it says other, and it says social and self-care. And then it says, how does the disability, this is where the accommodations are going to be also. So then it says, how does the disability affect progress in the curriculum? Disabilities hinder her ability to make effective gains in academic, daily living, and social skills without modification and significant adult assistance. It's a nice IEP. I like it a lot. And then here's, whoops, okay, so, here are all of these are some accommodations that this kid got. Ball seat when needed. She had major sensory issues. Teacher modeling, pictorial schedule, that's to help her go from one activity to another. Review and practice previously taught skills. These are all things that she got in order to help her gain access to her education, okay? In Massachusetts, this is what we call our service delivery page. So it's 3 sections. the teachers and specialists consulting weekly and monthly. This is where we do our consultation. So this is just when these people on the team get together and have a discussion, 1 times 30 minutes a week, or 2 times, in the other instance, it was 2 times 60 minutes a month. So the ABA and the consultation for all of the others, OT, PT, and speech, they all get together to make sure everybody's on the same page. And everybody's, if there's an issue, then these people will get together and they'll discuss the issues. And then they'll come to you and they'll say, well, there's an issue and this is what we found. But see, this kid, we also had monthly meetings. Okay. So that was also in this IEP. So if there was anything that was found by the consultation, the specialist, then we were able to discuss it at the monthly meeting. Okay, so then we have section B is special education in the general ed classroom, direct services. So this child got integration in the SPED in education. So what we were trying to do is do integration into a regular ed classroom, because most of her day was, almost all of her day was in a significantly separate classroom with her and another kid. So what we were slowly trying to transition her into regular ed classrooms, but we have to do it one at a time. We have to do it a little at a time for just a few minutes. And see what it says, 5 times 90 minutes a week. That's what we were trying to get, okay? And then these are all of the services. This is what it's supposed to look like. Look at the first one. I mean, it's like, I don't even know how many. Oh, that's what I wanted to tell you too. So here's the start and end dates. Okay, so all of these have start and end dates of the services. And then over here it says type of personnel on all of them, all sections. And then it tells you what goals these are going to focus in on. So each one of these things, these services that are being delivered, these are goals, there's specific goals that that particular thing is supposed to address. Whatever that goal is, that's what that service is going to address, okay? So that's what it looks like. Here's the page that talks about placement. This is the placement form. So once the meeting is over, like you see how we did it, we did all of the goals, we did all of the objectives, we did all of the services, and now the last thing we're going to do, because we did all of that, so now the team says, based on all of those services, where's this kid going? Can we do this in the regular ed classroom? Can we do this in a significantly separate classroom? For this child, it was significantly separate. Okay, so 60% of the time she was going to be outside the general education classroom in a significantly 60% of the time. So that's considered substantially separate. Okay, so that was her placement. And then the parent has the right to, see, in Massachusetts, we actually have it. I consent to the placement, I refuse the placement, I request a meeting to discuss the refused placement. And then we have one just for the IEP, where the goals and objectives are. So there's 2 consent forms in Massachusetts, and some states only have 1. Some don't have any, because there's no law that says you have to, these are all the placement options, that's right. So full inclusion, partial inclusion, substantially separate, public separate day school, private separate day school, residential school. So these are all the different types of placement your kids can get. This is where, on the bottom, this is where the district writes the name of the school where the kid's going to go. So those are all of the things. Everything has to go in a row. And what I would really like for you guys to do is to, what did I do? Okay, this placement. Bye-bye. The IEP forms. Okay, most IEP forms in Massachusetts, when you go to the Department of Education website, you can actually get our IEP forms. You can get them. Some states don't have them. I don't know. It goes by district. But I can actually find our forms, like I can find the complaint forms and the hearing due process forms. I can find it on our Department of Education website under forms and notices. So you can check it out and see if you can find it. Because what I would do is, what I tell my parents to do is fill out your forms. Based on, you sit down and write an IEP for your kid using the state's form. So when you go to the team meeting, you have that, you have all the evaluations, and you have exactly what you want for every single section that they're about to talk to when they develop your kid's IEP. See what I'm talking about? Be prepared. See, I just said that. I beat myself to the punch. But that's what are you guys still there? Yeah, you guys are still there. Audience. Are you guys still there? Wendy?
I'm here.
Okay, good.
I'm here.
So what I would like to do is, what I tell you guys, what I tell all of my clients, go online, get an IEP. And if you can't find it at the state's IEP, your state's IEP, what I would do is go to another state and see if that Massachusetts has IEP forms and they meet the federal criteria. So all you have to do is sit down and fill it out. Just print out the forms or go online, and you can get it both ways. You can get it as a Word document and as a PDF, okay? So if you go as a PDF file, there's a way you can write on them. You can just fill them out. Just type in the stuff that you want in that kid's IEP, in your kid's IEP. And go, and you can add more pages to it and stuff. It's really cool. But get in the habit of writing out what you want. So when you go, that's why you got to have the evaluations 48 hours before the team meeting, because then you'll be able to do stuff like this. So let's say this team, and so all of that was because the team, everything that we just discussed was because the team determined that your child does have special needs and that you do need an IEP. What if they say no special needs? So if the school district comes back and says, after the evaluations, your child doesn't have any special needs, you have the right to appeal that decision. Use due process procedures and reject the determination of finding of no special needs. Put it in writing and or request an independent evaluation. This is a topic of procedural safeguards, but just so you know, this is what you do. Whoops. You can get an independent evaluation in all areas you are disputing. In fact, obtaining this evaluation may assist you in narrowing the issues in an appeal, and or it may help you improving and supporting the request that the district has denied, which could prevent a due process hearing. So what that means is, let's say the reason why they're saying your kid doesn't have special needs is based on their evaluations. And their evaluations you're disputing because it didn't evaluate in all areas of suspected disability. So what you do is, rather than ask them, now some schools are different. I'm telling you, New Jersey, don't do it. What you need to do is skip your little happy butt down to the nearest place to get an evaluation done, get a neuropsychological evaluation done on your kid, get independent OT, PT, all of the evaluations that they did, go get them done by independents using your insurance. Then give them all to the school. Tell them you want a team meeting to discuss the results. Then see what they say. Never, ever, ever go to a hearing, file for a hearing, unless you have independent evaluations. Never. That's called be prepared. Okay? That's how you do that. So, what? Okay. Now we're getting to the end. So what you're doing.
Lining up good stuff.
That's right. What I'm trying to teach you guys is how to line up your ducks. You got to keep a paper trail. Keep samples of work of your kid. Keep samples of his work. And if you don't have it, tell the teacher you want them to create a portfolio. You want them to slap some of his work and not just his best work, because then they're going to look stupid. Date and sign and copy any correspondence to and from the school. If you're sending emails, you're good. But if you're sending letters or you're dropping stuff off, always make sure you get a copy and you get a date stamped if you're dropping it off to school to make sure you can prove. This is all about proving they got the information from you. That's what all of that's about. Okay? Make requests for evaluations if more than 2 years old, and an independent evaluation if school testing is less than 16 months old. So you have the right to ask for independent evaluations, okay? I wouldn't ask the school, especially in New Jersey, I wouldn't do that. I would just go and get my evaluations done using my insurance. If you have a problem, contact me and I can figure out a workaround. I'm on workaround in full. I don't care. We will figure it out, okay? Well, don't go nowhere. So how to support your reasonable requests? So request evaluations, first of all, in all areas of suspected or known disability, of areas of concern. You want all of the evaluations done in all suspected or known areas of concern. If the school evaluations are not answering your concern, request an independent. Like I said, I don't think you should. In New Jersey, Massachusetts, yes. Any other state, pretty much. New Jersey, not so much. Monitor the IEP progress by keeping copies of schoolworks, notes from the teacher, discipline, report cards, all of that. Start a file, people. I'm going to put up my book. I'm going to find that book. I'm going to put it up there for you guys to get, okay? Tells you how to create, it's the parent's manual, tells you how to create files and keep records and updates and all of that. When you start every year, what you're doing is you're creating a paper trail that protects you. So in the event you have to go to a hearing, okay? Everything you do is to use in a hearing. Everything, every letter you send, every request you make, every comment, everything you sign is part of the hearing process. That's all you have to remember. You're going to use it in the hearing if you have to go there. So that way you're prepared. And I'm telling you, it works every time. That's the way I do it. I do it all. Every time I take a case, it's as if I'm going to hearing. I already made a decision. We're going to hearing. With that in mind, I can set up my case and make sure that I cover my client's high need. Okay? I cover every which way I can possibly go because I got documents up the wazoo. Email is your friend. I'm telling you right now, I love email. Remember, this is the information you must know in order to help your child. Every school district knows and is banking on the fact that you do not know your rights. And even if you do not have the full understanding of how knowing your rights can help your child. You might know about IDEA. That doesn't mean you know how to apply it. And you don't know how to enforce it. I'm going to show you how, though. My workshops and trainings are designed to educate, inform, and most importantly, teach you what to do with that knowledge. I'm going to give you step-by-step instruction. Recourse are the options that are available. Knowing what those options are levels the playing field for you guys. I am not kidding. The more you know, the more you can work the system to help your child, and you're really not working the system. What you're doing is, you're your child's voice, and you're screaming at the top of your lungs. That's what we do. We scream a lot. Patty here. Hi, Patty. Okay. I don't know what's gonna happen. Okay. Just remember, guys. Whoa! Not only is the door locked, it fell down. Okay. I'm gonna get better at this, guys, I swear.
Like some messaging app. Oh.
Huh? What'd you say? There you go. Okay. The door is locked. Right now. Today it's locked. Tomorrow, not so much. So, what we're going to do is, now you have the key. I've given you guys all kinds of stuff that you guys can use right now. Tomorrow, you can start using this stuff. Okay? So, you have the key. All you have to do is open the door, unlock the door, and walk in. Unlocking the door opens up the possibilities for your child. You can't be afraid. You question everything, and they hate it. And good. They're not your friends. Those people are not your friends. They're not your friends. They're your employees. Okay? You're their boss. They don't know that. And right now, you don't know that, and you don't believe it. But you are. They work for you. They get paid by using your taxes. Okay? They're supposed to educate your kid. That's them working for you. That's what they're supposed to do. Okay? So, all you guys have to do is go back and look at all of this stuff. When you have a question, you can contact me. I'm going to be here every Thursday. I'm trying real hard to up it, but right now in the summertime, this is perfect because I think you guys have more open time. I'm going to be starting my next class on July 9th, and I'm also going on vacation. So I probably won't do one. It's the, I think we leave on the 13th. I'm not sure, but I don't know. I'm going on vacation. So, but I'll try to keep you, I'm going to have my computer with me. So, because I got to do class. So you guys just let me know what you need. And if there's something that I can do really quick, I will. But there's a couple of you I need to talk to. Are you kidding me? I could have done this. Can you guys see this? You?
Yeah.
Are you kidding me? I don't know how I just did that. This is what I wanted all this time. Anywho, love me. Anywho,
Be a little bit bigger because we could actually see it a little bit bigger.
what, the other one? The other way?
Yeah, the other one. But that's good too.
Yeah, at least I know I can go back and do this way. So see, this is what I'm talking about, guys. I'm new to this whole go-to-meeting thing and how to do this stuff. So, yeah, you guys got to give me a little break. But I love this video. I love this PowerPoint presentation. So if you guys want it, just let me know and inbox me. And I will actually send you this PowerPoint thing, because if you have PowerPoint, you know that you can just go in and you can print out the slides. And it's just prints out in a regular piece of paper. But then you can print it out in a way where you can put notes on it. So if you want me to do that, let me know and I'll send it to you. And let me know if you guys like this. I like this because it got a lot of stuff. And we might go back and review it again, only because it's so much. It's a lot to learn and it took me a long time to get it. So it took me a long time to create that. So just let me know what you guys think and if this was helpful. I hope it was. I gotta get off because now it's almost 11 o'clock and I'm exhausted. I didn't even know what time it was. And I will talk to you guys hopefully next Thursday if it's not vacation. I don't think so. I don't know. I gotta figure it out. But I'll talk to you guys. You'll catch me online, okay? And have a great rest of the week and stay cool. I'm really hot. Okay? I'd like to thank you guys for coming and have a great time. And I didn't record this. Did I record this? Did I record this? Yes! So happy. Okay. I'm going to get this out to you guys as soon as possible, guys.
It said recorded.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. So I'm going to get this out as soon as possible. And I will talk to
It
you
even
guys.
says it on our screen.
It does? Okay, good. So you guys have to remind me now that you guys can see it because I can't. All right. Have a good one. Stay cool because it's hot over here. I don't know how hot it is in Jersey, but it's hot as Hades here. So talk to you guys. It is okay. All right. I'll talk to you guys soon. You have a good night. Thank you for
Tammy,
coming.
I'm gonna try and call you tomorrow maybe. I want to talk to you about what's going on.
Until 4, so it's gonna call me after 4. Okay.
Okay. All right. Sounds good.
All right. Okay.
All right. Thanks.
Thank you.